9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Hey, very good afternoon to you as we welcome you on into the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. The Fan Rochester at the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and our channel on YouTube at The Fan Rochester, where we stream live every afternoon from 3 to 6. Fresh from a weekend of action. I'm Mike Danger. Over there, that's Gene Battaglia.
Yeah, weekend where stress-free. If you were a Bills fan, depending on who you picked, it was very stressful in Survivor Football.
Oh, Survivor Football, yeah. It's funny you mentioned the Bills because on Sunday, I went to the home improvement store, and I'm walking around. It's packed. It is packed.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get my cart around the corner because there's just people everywhere grabbing stuff and I'm like, it's almost as if every Bills fan knows this is my weekend to be productive. This is my weekend to finish up those home improvement projects that needed to get done. I did the same. I did likewise.
That was a fun Sunday of football, though. Hopefully you started your home improvement projects and you got them done at least by 3 p.m. so you could see that magnificent 4 to 4:30 window yesterday.
Yes, that 4 to 4:30 window included the Survive and Advance pick that we had here, right? We went with Tampa Bay at home against the Jets, picking on a bad Jets team, Tampa wearing the creamsicles. I mean, it felt like that was the game.
So while you were out last week, did the pick. Felt really good. Was all fired up. And one of our regulars, Chris, called in. And he put me on. He's like, you're wrong. Tampa's going to lose. Seattle is the pick. Have you seen the Saints? And I was ready. I was willing to give the Saints the benefit of the doubt because they did move the football somewhat. I mean, they were a complete no-show yesterday. So hopefully you took Seattle or Tampa Bay. When Tyrod throws the pick six at the end of the half, I'm like, yes, thank you. 20-6, thank you, good night. And then the Buccaneers proceed to put up 2 field goals the rest of the way.
Yeah, my neighbor, you've heard me talk about my neighbors before. Timmy Parmesan is the only guy I know who's a Bucs fan. And a big Bucs fan.
Huge.
Loves the Bucs. That's his team. You know, whereas most of you are Bills fans, he is a Bucs guy through and through. He's always been a Bucs guy. And he was texting me on Saturday. I don't know. What do I do for Survivor? Do I go with Seattle? Is that the pick? I said, Tampa's the pick. Come on, man. You're a Bucs fan. You know. He's like, I don't know. There's injuries, the offensive line, blah, blah, blah. I just feel like I'm like, Tim, that's the pick. Tampa is the pick. You can pick Seattle. That's fine. Seattle would be my second choice. But Tampa, it checks all the boxes. When we go through our rules of Survivor Football, when we go through our checklist of rules, it checks all of the boxes.
I liked it, too, because it was their home opener. I'm like, okay, they've had 2 close wins on the road. Now you go home and sure, it's Tyrod, whatever. That gets us everybody. Oh, and Todd Bowles. Yeah, the Todd Bowles revenge game.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we're taking this game.
Yeah. And I texted him, I think it was 26-13, and I texted him, and I said, we're on to week 4, Tim. Congratulations. But there was still a lot of football left. And he texts me back. He's like, if you jinxed my team, so help me God. And then the blocked field goal for the touchdown happens to give the Jets the lead. You block the field goal. You got Aaron Glenn dancing down the sideline, only to give Baker Mayfield the ball back. And the Jets are the Jets. Can't close a door.
You know, that's next level on that because what was the date yesterday?
21st of September. No, there's
what you did.
Method behind my madness. So, yeah, Timmy texted me. Timmy Parmesan texted me when that field goal was blocked, you're dead to me. Gino, I didn't doubt for a second that Tampa Bay was going to win that game. You would think, oh, my God, they just blocked the field goal. The Jets aren't winning that game. They're not winning that game. That's not happening. It just knew it wasn't going to happen. And a big reason why is because You got Baker Mayfield on the other side. Baker Mayfield is quickly rising through the ranks in my quarterback power rankings. I love me some Baker Mayfield. The dude is just fiery. He's passionate. You can tell that his teammates feed off of his competitiveness. He's an alpha. Did you hear what he said after the game?
No.
His post-game press conference, he's talking about the win. I loved it, he tells reporters. And also, their D coordinator was the one that cut me in Carolina. That was Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes was there as the interim after they moved on from Rule. Steve Wilkes could have cut Mayfield, but instead of cutting Mayfield, and Mayfield requested a release, Wilkes dropped him on the depth chart below P.J. Walker in Carolina. Can you imagine there was a world where P.J. Walker was listed higher on a depth chart than Baker Mayfield, courtesy of Steve Wilkes? So Mayfield not pulling any punches. Yeah, that's the guy that cut me in Carolina. Nice. It was nice to get one over on him. And Mayfield is a difference maker. He is a difference maker. And now you got the injury to Mike Evans. We'll see what that is. But, I mean, that to me feels like more opportunity for Ibuka, more opportunity for others in that offense to thrive. I like Tampa.
That's a fun game.
That was a fun game.
Philly at Tampa this week, Danger?
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. And we have fun every Tuesday when we do our Survivor picks. And if you're a regular to the show, you know we have rules. We have these guidelines. Don't break the rules. You don't need to break the rules in week 4. One of the biggest rules, Danger, don't pick a road team. I got to give some love to our guy, PJ Glasser, on Wednesday. When he came on and said this game has all the feels of 2 years ago when San Francisco went out east and, all right, they go to Cleveland, and all of a sudden they lose. No, that's not going to happen. And here was Green Bay up 10-0.
Yeah.
I cannot believe the Browns pulled that out. That is so unlikely.
So there's a couple of things that I took away from that. One, I don't think you can run the football on Cleveland. I think Cleveland is just one of those defenses that, forget it, you're going to have to be one-dimensional because you cannot run the ball on that defense. And the Packers weren't able to do it, and you saw them kind of squelch the Ravens. I think also, if you compare week 2 to week 3 for Cleveland, Lamar Jackson's play against that Browns defense versus Jordan Love's play against that Browns defense should show you that there's quite a gap between where Jordan Love is in his career versus a guy like Lamar or let's say a Josh Allen, that they can still, a good quarterback play can still get you that win. And Jordan Love, while decent, didn't do a lot to you can win with Jordan Love, but you're not going to win because of Jordan Love in that game against Cleveland yesterday.
I think we're still at that. We want to say, Jordan Love is going to win you game single-handedly.
Don't know yet. Still watching that, right? Still watching that growth and that progression. And then to see Cleveland deploy Quinshad Judkins and have him be the guy that scores the touchdown, to have him be the guy that kind of like paces them in the run game was interesting as well. Big emotion from Joe Flacco at the end of the game. I mean, it was nice to see Cleveland get their win. I mean, personally, it was kind of sweet to see Green Bay fall at the hands. But now, I mean, week 4, another great matchup is you mentioned week 4. You have Tampa, you have Philly. How about Green Bay and Dallas? I mean, the Micah Parsons return to Arlington. Not that I give Dallas a chance based on how they looked, but I can't not give Dallas a chance based on how they looked one week. It's every week in the NFL. It's never as bad as you think it is. It's never as good as you think it is.
The Cowboys may be without CeeDee Lamb for this game as well, so that's Sunday night. Congrats to NBC for kind of lucking into that because they knew the schedule before that trade occurred. Speaking of Sunday night, Danger, before we tell you who's coming up on the show, Brian Daboll, what are you waiting for?
So I feel bad because I think he lost his job last night. He probably lost his job before the season even started. He probably lost his job when he said Russell Wilson is our week 1 starter. Russell Wilson with 2 interceptions in the first half of last night's game. And if you watch enough Chiefs football and you watch enough good teams play football, you can't give them those opportunities. You can't give them those extra possessions. You're going to lose the game. And you had an opportunity, if you're Brian Daboll, to sit Russ. 2 interceptions in the first half. Not in the NFL. Not on this team. Can't happen. Not against that team. We're trying to win football games here. and then you put Jackson Dart in. And Dart came in for a couple of plays because they have packages built for him or whatever. But to hear the roar from the crowd when he got in the game, there isn't a single Giants fan that I know or have talked to that is excited or enthusiastic about the direction that this team is going. And what you get from Daboll is we're evaluating everything. You know what? You say conversations are for losers. Like people say, oh, we're having conversations. I think evaluation now. It's like what more do you need to evaluate? 2 turnovers in the first half. Give the kid a shot. Give him a shot. You're 0-3. It's not like it gets worse.
It's almost like he's stringing this along, knowing that, okay, once I go to that card, I can't go back.
Exactly right. And it's Russell Wilson, and it's ego, and it's if Daboll treated this the way Sean Payton treated this, then I would have respect for him. Like, Sean Payton didn't hold back when he had Russell Wilson as his quarterback. Look,
it's funny.
It was great.
I thought you were going to say how Sean Payton brought in Bo Nix last year. Bo Nix was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Like, how did they beat the Jets that one game? Well, that's the curve. You just have to know that, okay, let's see. Can we improve from week to week? And we're going to start off with no expectations. Could you have asked for a better setting? Hey, guess what? You're in this game. You're in this game. You want to get that crowd into it. What would have that reaction been last night at Jackson Dart came out?
And you're Brian Daboll, and you're supposedly this quarterback guru, right, who got this job because of your work with Josh Allen. Fraud. You're fraud. Daniel Jones is getting Brian Daboll fired as the quarterback of the Giants. Daniel Jones is getting Brian Daboll fired as the quarterback of the Colts. Does that make sense? Daniel Jones is the guy that's going to end up losing Brian Daboll his job.
We last offseason said, all right, who could be this year's Sam Darnold, meaning the quarterback that is going to be recycled? And we talked about, no, it can't be. Have you seen him with the Giants? Danger. That's real in Indy. 3 games and 1 punt. Oh, my gosh, they punted yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Danny Dimes looks good, and it couldn't work. It couldn't work in New York. Couldn't work with Brian Daboll. No sympathy. How do you not have a kicker? They didn't have a kicker last night. Their punter was out there attempting long kicks. How do you not have a kicker ready to go?
So Graham Gano, pregame warm-up. Oops, the groin pull. Weird thing is, that's the second time in as many years that's happened to the Giants.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. That's just, to me, that's a lack of preparation. That's a lack of knowledge of your personnel. Get them out of here. If that's going to happen once is too many times. Oh, coming up lame in pregame, once is too many times. If it happens once, you move on and you get somebody else. And then the hits keep coming with Tyrone Tracy. He's going to miss time with a dislocated shoulder.
Oh, have you not seen Cam Scatterbo?
Cam Scatterbo is the only thing going on that team. That's the only thing that you could be excited about. I mean, even Malik Neighbors is rendered invisible because Russell Wilson can't get him the ball.
2 targets in the first half. What are you doing? And they're showing, okay, he's bracketed. Ooh,
and there's your indictment on the Dallas Cowboys defense, by the way, as well. The Dallas Cowboys defense made Russ look like an all-pro again last week, and they made the Bears look serviceable this week. Jordan Love should look just fine next week in primetime against that Cowboys defense.
That line Sunday night, Green Bay is giving 6.5 now. That's up to coming off a loss at Dallas.
Wow.
The Bills line, by the way, Danger, it grew since we last spoke.
Yeah, I would imagine. Given the Saints didn't even show up. Did they even? They didn't want to be there, did they?
The opening kickoff or whatever it was, the poor punter gets a kickoff guy gets obliterated. 16.5. The Saints are getting 16.5 in Buffalo. 16.5, and the over-under is 48.
I would take the over.
Yeah.
Take the over. I think that.
Can I just say this once? I do not have tickets to this game.
Oh, that's good.
No, I swear this ticket is the hottest ticket. I think it's, hey, nice weather, last season, winning team.
1 o'clock kickoff.
1 o'clock kickoff.
That's the pull.
Key.
That's the pull. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. Yeah, I had a friend reach out asking for tickets, and I did the best I could to the point where he said finally, you know what, I'm just going to pull the trigger. And he bought like tickets 4 rows behind the bench, and he's excited. And he's bringing his daughter. I think it's her first game. So good stuff there. It's going to be great. That point spread is probably not enough, to be honest with you. If the Bills do what good teams are supposed to do, you dispatch of that Canadian Football League team, that CFL squad, you dispatch of them with relative ease.
Joe Brady's probably like, oh my gosh, this would have been my future. Thank goodness I'm staying.
No, he did the right thing. We have a fun show lined up for you this afternoon with a couple of guests stopping by to talk the Buffalo Bills later this hour. Lance Lysowski covering the team for the Buffalo News, stopping by here in about 10, 15 minutes.
So it's kind of a mini bye for the team. So players don't come back to practice till Wednesday. So give them a little bit of a break here. But when we last spoke, you and I, Friday, like, there are some issues on this defense. So we're looking at things as if, hey, the Bills are winning. They're beating opponents. Is this championship quality? Can this be fixed? That's the lens we're looking through, and a lot of people are looking through. We'll have that conversation with Lance Lysowski, Buffalo News, coming up at the bottom of the hour.
Joining us in the 4 o'clock hour, look what happened on Saturday. I think a lot of people didn't give Syracuse a chance at beating Clemson, yet there they are, now sitting at 3-1 after beating Clemson. Well, we're going to welcome in Mike McAllister as a publisher at Syracuse on 24/7. He's going to stop by at 4:25.
That looked different. But Justice Ross Simmons, Section 5 guy, good that he came back home and just kind of dominating there. Weird game in the fact that, hey, Syracuse gets a lead, and then there's a 96-minute weather delay. So for a noon kickoff, that ends after 5:30. And seeing Dabo Sweeney when they're doing the song after, and Clemson, I guess you have to stick around for whatever the alma mater song is, that he looks like either he's so angry or he's so pissed, but he's like on the verge of tears or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that more about Clemson or more about Syracuse, that game?
I think Syracuse knew what buttons to push. I really do. And, if there's some injuries being faked and there's a fine, I think. Now, my take on college athletics is pretty well documented, Gino. If you want a championship, cheat. Because what's the punishment? Look at Michigan. Look at what they with the NCAA, with all their power, what they did to Michigan. Does anybody care about what they did to Michigan?
Michigan fans look back and be like, "Oh, that's not a real championship."
No, it doesn't matter. And so the NCAA, with all their might and power, slapped a $25,000 fine on Syracuse for some injuries, some fake injuries. $25,000. Do you know what tuition for one student at Syracuse University is annually? You're going to fine them $25,000. That's a drop in the that's not even a drop in the bucket. That's almost an insult to a fine. That's not even a fine. Cheat is Fran Brown. Cheat. If you want to be in the conversation at the end of the year, if you want to be ranked, cheat. If they catch you, who cares?
There's actually no rule on this. This is a gray area. This was the conference saying it's unethical and contrary to the spirit of the rules.
Oh my God.
What spirit of the? Oh gosh.
Contrary to the spirit of the rule?
Back in 11th grade, the spirit of the law and the letter of the law and blah, blah,
blah. So this
blah.
is completely subjective.
Yes.
Give me a break. Cheat. Go ahead. Nothing will happen except you'll probably win more games. Fine. I loved it. I love that happened. I think it's hilarious. I think the NCAA is a joke. $25,000. Wow. Oof. I mean, Wild Hack's got to be like pinching pennies right now. Okay, guys, we got to pay up this fine. Where can we cut? I don't know. Can we cut maybe like one day's worth of meals? I don't. What are we doing here?
No, I make a phone call, be like, "Hey Joe, look, we just got fined $25,000. Listen, do you want to pay the fine? Come over. We're gonna have dinner with Coach tonight." Yeah,
perfect.
Good. Done. Yeah.
Perfect. It's done. Yeah. So Mike McAllister will stop by. We'll talk some Syracuse athletics here coming up in the 4 o'clock hour as well. Happy hour on the way, and as always, plenty of time for your calls if you want to pull up a stool and join us at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
No baseball talk today. It is football season.
No, it's football season.
It is football season.
We definitely don't need to talk about the New York Mets, who find themselves now outside of playoff position.
I know you're really busy, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. Mets are off tonight. Do you see where they are beginning tomorrow night?
Are they in Chicago?
Yep, they're in Wrigley. 3 games. Like,
I mean, the Cubs don't really have anything to play for. They already clinched. So, I mean,
yeah, they get the
positioning, I guess.
But the narrative, it could be your team just say, all right, that's it.
Yeah, but see, this is the difference between I would never, maybe this is the difference between me and other rivals in the NL East that you have, like Fates, Catalana, Phillies fan, Braves fan. Like, I'm not hoping that we keep the Mets out of the postseason. I want the Cubs to win, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this is it. We're going to get you, buddy. This is what we're going to do. We're going to sweep, and we're going to eliminate your chances. I'm not that way.
Well, if it were the Cardinals, yeah, you would be.
Yeah, because they're in the division. Yeah. Like, I don't really consider the Mets a rival. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So, hey, it's not over, Gino. It's not over. I mean,
it's over.
It's not great, but it's not over. It's not great, but it's not over.
The idea that they would have to go to insert team here, L.A., San Diego.
Weirder things have happened. Last year, improbable run last year, Gino. It was an improbable run for your Amazons. It could happen again. You never know. They could get hot again at the right time. You never know.
Think back to 1 year ago on that Monday. I'm jumping around like a fool here. They get in on the last day on the bonus baseball there.
Right. And they made some magic happen in the month of October. Anything is possible as the MLB season winds down. But you're right. It is football season. And a lot of people listening are focused in on the Buffalo Bills. Week 4, the opponent is New Orleans. We'll look ahead to that. We'll look back to the win against Miami on Thursday night. Lance Lysowski covering the team. Give us the latest news out of Buffalo. Covering the team for the Buffalo News and joining us next on The Fan Rochester.
update.
Week 3 of the NFL season wrapping up tonight. It's the Lions and Ravens in Baltimore. Detroit head coach Dan Campbell says it's Derrick Henry the guy to key on.
You know, we cannot let him get going. You get him ahead of steam and he finds a crease, he's dangerous. So we're going to ask a lot of those guys, and they know the task ahead. But listen, that's why those guys are here.
As for the Bills, they're now listed as 16.5-point favorites for Sunday's game against New Orleans. Lance Lysowski, Buffalo News, will be joining us next year in the Sports Bar. One other NFL note, Nick Bosa, out for the season. The 49er defensive lineman has a torn ACL. It is hockey season beginning tonight for the Buffalo Sabres, the preseason opener in Columbus. Mets and Yankees both off tonight. The Mets open a series in Wrigley tomorrow. The Yankees are taking on the White Sox on Tuesday. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Let's continue some Bills talk with Lance Lysowski covering the team for the Buffalo News, joining us in the Sports Bar. Lance, we spent time after the win on Thursday night, on Friday here in the Sports Bar, kind of dissecting the defensive performance against Tua and against the Dolphins, knowing like, hey, you get the win and you don't have to apologize for how you do it, but that defense, boy, there seemed like there were some glaring red flags, notably the inability to get off the field on third down. It really looked reminiscent of what this team was last year, which ultimately wasn't good enough.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They ranked 29th in the league in third down defense last season. It was a point of emphasis throughout the spring and summer. One of the reasons why Brandon Beane completely revamped his defensive line. They gave Tua Tagovailoa too much time to throw. I mean, you look at the Tyreek Hill touchdown. That's a pretty good example of one of the the primary issues that the Bills defense had. You let him escape the pocket. You let him buy time. Your corners can't cover forever. Even Christian Benford. Receivers in this league are too good. Tyreek Hill breaks off his route, and you got a touchdown. So, yeah, the pass rush, Joey Bosa's been great. They haven't gotten enough out of Greg Rousseau. They haven't gotten enough out of guys like Javon Solomon, the guys who are rotating into the defense, TJ Sanders. Some growing pains through 3 games. So, yeah, I mean, the pass rush has to get home, and I think it's mostly on them, guys. I really, you look at, Deion Walker misses a tackle, so it's run defense on those third and short situations. It's multiple levels. They went 11 for 11 against the Jets, but some two better offenses in the Ravens and the Dolphins. It was a different story.
So, Lance, if we're going to say there's multiple reasons for this, or there could be multiple solutions for this, is the biggest reason we would say for optimism, okay, you didn't have Oliver, you didn't have Milano, and the 2 guys suspended a few more weeks here. Like the idea that other guys coming back might help alleviate what's ailing this defense right now.
No, absolutely. Sean McDermott said at the very beginning of camp, they're going to be challenged up front, especially these first few weeks of the season, because Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi aren't going to be here, and you're getting rookies like Deion Walker and TJ Sanders involved in the NFL for the first time. Now Maxwell Harrison's not healthy. Trey White wasn't healthy in week 1. So Taron Johnson wasn't healthy against the Jets. So they haven't been 100%, and I think that is the one. If you're looking for silver linings, you're trying to project this defense, 6-7 weeks down the road, or even toward the end of the season in the playoffs. Yes. In theory, as long as Joey Bosa stays healthy, Greg Rousseau plays up to his ability and potential, and they get more out of, guys like Cole Bishop and, even Christian Benford for that matter. He's been excellent the last 2 games, but I think this defense, there is a higher ceiling. I don't think they're capped out at all. Sometimes you look around the league, guys, you see that there's just some teams, there's no room for them to get better. But when it comes to the Bills and you look across the depth chart, getting through these 3 games, 3-0, despite some of these warts that we've seen, that's a pretty solid accomplishment. They just have to keep improving in some several notable areas that require work and patience, unfortunately, for fans.
Lance, under the heading of nobody is 100% this time of year, do you think the Bills are participating in kind of like a secret load management strategy here in terms of looking at the schedule, focusing on the matchups of each opponent and those potential matchups, and knowing, okay, look, if Taron Johnson needed to go, he would go. If Ed Oliver needed to go, if this was a playoff game, he's probably out there. I mean, when you look at the way this schedule is laid out for the Bills here post Baltimore in week 1, I mean, it almost feels like if you wanted to give Joey Bosa a week, give him a week against the Saints, or give him a week, where you feel against the Panthers, where you feel like, hey, it's a longer season than a lot of these guys are used to here over the course of the last few years.
Yeah, I think it's a case-by-case basis for sure. You're going to handle different guys, like Taron Johnson, for example, said that he was good to go to play week 2 against the Jets. They held him out as a precaution. They knew that Thursday night game was coming. And, Bosa, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah, he played a lot of snaps on Thursday night. I would expect that number. I mean, Bobby Babbitt said that number is going to go down, and when you're looking at snap, like Taron Johnson's playing, on Thursday night against the Dolphins, they use more base defense to get Taron Johnson off the field. So you're not overtaxing him at that point in the season. You have confidence in your 3 linebackers. So they like their depth. I mean, it's, you look at across the defensive line, yes, there's going to be mistakes from that group. You're going to have some mistakes from somebody like Shaq Thompson, who's missed a lot of times through injury. But, you could argue A.J. Epinesa is a backup on this team right now. He's playing really well, in my opinion, in the snaps that he has played. So they're in a good spot to where they don't have to push guys. It's just, case by case. But, if you're facing a spread team, you're going to run more nickel. You can rely on your base defense some more. So, it's, this schedule does set up nicely, though, and it leads to a debate that, could they be 6-0 when, they get to that Week 8 matchup that everybody's going to be talking about?
Lance Isowski joining us here, Buffalo News. Before we get to that Week 8 matchup, you got a game against the Saints, and as I'm trying to research, 16.5 points Buffalo favored. I don't know, Lance, if that's the biggest the Bills have ever been favored, but I can tell you that once upon a time, the Bills were 17.5 point underdogs. It's week 3. And the rookie quarterback didn't look so good in his first performance, but then Josh Allen goes on the road and upsets the Vikings. So if we're looking through that, anything can kind of happen lens where the Bills once upon a time did win as a 17.5 point underdog. Realistically, under what scenario do the Bills not win this game coming up on Sunday?
Yeah, no, it's different. I didn't agree with all the discourse around that Dolphins game. A lot of people suggested it was going to be a blowout. You knew that. I mean, the Dolphins, they just have more talent. The Saints, they don't have enough talent. Now they're in a bad salary cap spot. I think that they have a better coach now. Kellen Moore's doing some good things. Like offensively, they can challenge you. Spencer Rattler is kind of a gunslinger. He can move around a little bit. He's mobile. He's got some good receivers. Alvin Kamara is still a really good running back. You still got to win the game. Now it's still the NFL, so you got to play clean. The Bills got to keep protecting the ball. Their defense has to still step up. Of course, I wouldn't expect to see Ed Oliver this week, even though he's out of the walking boot. They're going to be cautious with Matt Milano, just given the history there. And Dory Williams, I thought, played pretty darn well against the Dolphins. So, and it's at home. They haven't lost a regular season home game in quite some time. So, not surprised at all. They're a heavy favorite, and you look at that Dolphins game, like the dumb penalties the Dolphins took in the second half that really gave the Bills every opportunity to pull away with that win. You just don't see those level of mistakes from this Bills team under Sean McDermott and that coaching staff. So that helps them going into a game where everybody's talking about, it could be a sneaky matchup, could be a spoiler alert, but in the end, like they're a disciplined football team that understands what it takes to win games.
It's funny, Lance, you mentioned that, and you look around the NFL and you watch games like even last night watching the Chiefs. It didn't feel like the Chiefs. They felt a little bit more disjointed than they've been, less engaged than we've seen them in years past. I'm not going to pour dirt on the Chiefs because they're the Chiefs. But at the same time, watching the Bills play and watching the command that Josh Allen has of this offense, and it is hard to imagine this team stumbling somewhere when you look at the schedule, especially now the way it lays out. I mean, even a team like the Falcons, who 1 week looked great, they're Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, they get blown out by the Panthers yesterday, and now that game feels like, okay, that might be a little bit more comfortable for the Bills on the road on Monday night. I mean, is the first real challenge for this team, the Chiefs, coming up? Or is it the Falcons? Or do you have to look further down the schedule and say, well, the Bucks look like they're real, and maybe, a lot can change between now and then. But right now, it's hard for me to spot losses on this schedule for the Bills.
Yeah, you still got to get the job done. Like, I agree with you. I mean, you look like the Falcons look like a mess. The Patriots, look at all the penalties and the turnovers they've had. They look like a team with a new head coach that's still trying to build a culture. To me though, like I wouldn't look past Carolina in Week 8. Like that defense, you look at what they did to Atlanta. Like they've got some weapons offensively that if you're not careful, they can get you. I know the Bills will be coming off of a bye week, but you just never know. It's still the NFL. And then, yeah, of course, Week 9, you've got the Chiefs, and they're going to have Rashee Rice. They're going to look probably a good amount better than they do right now. They're a weird team. I mean, you saw it last year with all the dramatic last-second wins. It seems like teams like the Chiefs, you'll go back to the Patriots dynasty, they just always seem to get the breaks. Everything seems to go their way in these close games. At some point, the luck runs out, your depth runs out. It's really difficult in salary cap era to sustain. But until they prove otherwise, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs still can't be overlooked. Miami, again, when the Bills going down there in November, then Tampa, Houston's defense. I mean, you see what Houston did to Buffalo last year. I mean, it does get it can get pretty difficult. We'll see if Joe Burrow's back for Week 14. But, yeah, I think with this team, guys, like with the Bills and the young players on that defense and these receivers, I think a lot of talk about the Bills' offense right now. People are a little curious to not see any downfield throws, really. I mean, Josh Allen's only attempted 9 passes that have traveled 20-plus air yards in 3 games. That's a pretty low amount. I mean, Baker Mayfield, for example, has attempted 18. That's twice as many. But they're taking what the defense gives them. At some point, it's going to course correct where defenses are going to start putting another safety in the box and challenging the Bills to throw deep. And that's when you need that receiving core to be more consistent than it's shown up to this point. Keon Coleman's got to cut out the drops and the penalties. You need Joshua Palmer to show up. I like what I've seen from Khalil Shakir. It's a good group. It's just you got to show up because, I mean, some of these teams, they've got good coaches, they got good players, and schematically, more film that they get, they're going to be able to put some wrinkles in that are going to make the Bills think on the fly and adjust mid-game.
Lance Isowski, Buffalo News, joining us. Lance, I want to ask you an open-ended question about Josh Allen because you bring a different perspective here. You're relatively new on the beat covering this team, and here you have an athlete MVP of the league performing at a level that he's picking up where he left off. Now that you're a few months in, what are your observations about Josh Allen, an athlete that really sometimes I don't want to say we take for granted, but just for example, we're almost 10 minutes into the conversation. We even talked about number 17 and what he's doing right now.
Yeah, no, I think it's because everybody Josh Allen's all right, and there's other questions on this team, but the quarterback's not one of them, and that's a very good point to make because the combination of poise, work ethic, and the continued development, right? I mean, it's not like Josh Allen was a finished product in year 3. You look around the league, there's some really talented quarterbacks who have success as rookies or second-year players, and they fall off. You look at C.J. Stroud, you can blame supporting cast all you want, but there's still a lot of throws that he's missing. You look at Bryce Young, good in year 2, not looking as good in year 3. It's up and down. Justin Herbert hasn't been all that consistent throughout his time with the Chargers. Looks good right now, but can he sustain? Josh Allen has sustained that success, and it's been, even from afar, paying attention as closely as I have, when really the difference for me is when Joe Brady took over and the offensive philosophy shifted to prioritize the running game. Because when you pair a dynamic and effective running game with a guy like James Cook or even some of the other backs that they have with a mobile quarterback with an arm and intelligence and awareness, and it's very difficult to stop. It keeps defenses off balance, and I think that Josh Allen cutting down on the turnovers, part of that is scheme. Part of it is just the amount of the attention to detail and the work that he's put in to become as good as he has, eliminating those mistakes. He spends a lot of very long days at one Bills drive during the season. And I know that is kind of what you think of an NFL quarterback should do, but that's not always the case around the league. You hear of the cautionary tales all the time, but he is extremely dialed in. You just see it that he's not satisfied at all about winning MVP. It's more to him that award is a product of having a great offensive line, great coaching staff, the work that he put in. But, I mean, the guy wants to win a Super Bowl, and he's not going to stop trying to continue to raise the ceiling of his game to help them get there.
So the unsung heroes, you mentioned them there in passing, Lance, is the offensive line. And I guess if you're going to talk about maybe the Bills having a little bit of luck, the idea that these guys have been cohesive, that they've been healthy for as long as they've had. When you look around the league, it's kind of rare to see what the Bills have here up front and protecting Josh Allen.
Yeah, there's a couple of different layers to that. You got to give Brennan Bean credit because it's not like these guys are all homegrown. Yes, they drafted Spencer Brown, Deion Dawkins, and Osiris Torrance, but then you pick up Connor McGovern and you start McGuard, you move him to center. He's excellent. David Edwards, you pick him up, and you could argue he's one of the best guards in the NFL right now. So it's an evaluation standpoint. It's making sure the term of those contracts and the rest of your salary cap picture allows you to keep these guys, because you're right. It is unprecedented to bring back all 5 linemen when those 5 linemen are very good and they would be in demand if their contracts expire. And it's coaching. Aaron Cromer coming in and working with those guys who are just a perfect fit for that gap. You know, the duo run scheme that Joe Brady has implemented, they are a perfect fit for it. They execute it perfectly. They have depth. So if one guy does go down for a couple of games, you have somebody like Alec Anderson who can step in, and there's not a massive drop-off. So is this going to be able to continue where they keep these 5 guys throughout Josh Allen's time here? Of course not. They're going to have some difficult decisions to make. You know, Connor McGovern and David Edwards are in the final year of their contracts. But, man, yeah, I mean, credit to them for doing everything they can possibly do to stay on the field and healthy. But there's just so much that goes into it that leads to that success. And, yeah, I mean, you look at that, and then you talk about the 3 tight ends. I mean, the 3 tight ends is such a big part of this team's success through these 3 games. You look at Jackson Haas, a 5th-round rookie. Nobody expected him to really play it. You know, a lot of scouts were saying the kid can't catch. What are the Bills doing drafting somebody like that at that point? He's more of a 7th-rounder or an undrafted free agent. He earned his way onto the field, and the impact he made in practices told Joe Brady, okay, well, let's try 3 tight ends, which would allow us to get away from the jumbo set, just be more unpredictable, which they have been. You know, you look at that 29-yard catch late in that Ravens game. The Ravens didn't respect Jackson Haas as a receiver. They saw 3 tight ends. They say, if they don't run the ball, they're going to throw it to somebody else. Well, he hurt you. And now when she puts up that on film, guys, people have to respect it.
Lance, last one for me, and it's we brought up the Chiefs game. A couple days after that is the NFL trade deadline. Again, we're skipping way ahead here, but it's is there an area on this team you could see the Bills going shopping for? I'll give you one. It's one where if they have an injury, I'm like, oh boy, I don't know how much more thin. That would be the corner position. I'd like to see maybe a veteran come in just in case, because last year that was costly when Christian Benford went out in the AFC Championship game. Is there a position or positions you would like to see maybe the Bills fortify?
Yeah, health is the big caveat, right? I mean, if you have an edge rusher go down, then suddenly that becomes a big need. Or if Ed Oliver, goes down long term, or a linebacker, it changes things for me. I totally agree with you. It has to be corner. I like what I've seen from Tre'Davious White in the run game. The sample size against the pass is too small. I really can't rush to judgment, but what are they going to get out of Maxwell Hairston this season? And you really can't rely on a rookie who missed all of camp and just expect him to go on the field and play at, like if you're a Super Bowl team, you're playing high stakes games against these elite teams in the NFL. You mentioned that Chiefs game, that one just keeps playing back to me where Benford goes down and you just saw Kyrie Elam look completely lost on the field. That is a position they don't want to be in. Now, I like what I saw from Dorian Strong in week 1, but he's also a rookie. So if you can get somebody who's an outside corner who fits with the scheme, yes, that would be at the top of my shopping list, because right now I'm gonna wait and see on the safeties. I know that's probably going to be the answer for a lot of people. They're skeptical about Cole Bishop. They're skeptical about Taylor Rapp. To me, you haven't noticed him as much the last 2 weeks, and that's a good thing. So let's see how that progresses before you make a decision on what you do there.
And Lance, as we get to week 4 here, once we get through week 4, there might be a decision for special teams. And I think through 2 weeks, we were all in on Matt Prater, and some of us even saying as much as, you know what, you don't have to bring back Tyler Bass. You certainly don't have to rush him back. Now, we saw that really, really, really bad miss on Thursday night. What do you think the Bills do here? What's their play?
I think you just evaluate the entire picture because it's not just field goals, it's also kickoffs. That is such a huge part of special teams play right now with the tweaks of the dynamic rules. You look at we're seeing longer returns. We're seeing splash plays that really can help teams win that field position game. So I think at the end of whenever Tyler Bass is deemed healthy, we don't know. I mean, the nature of that injury, I know that Sean McDermott wouldn't use the term setback, but it was clearly a setback because the guy stopped kicking, he kicked again, then he stopped kicking again. If that's not a setback, I don't know what is. So I would assume they're going to play very cautious here, just given if you have that continued soreness going on, like you can't just, all right, Tyler, go out there. We're going to have to release Matt Prater and roll the dice. They're going to see how things go. But yes, I think at that point, whenever that may be, because I'm not just going to assume it'll be after week 4, you look at the entire picture, field goals, kickoffs, and then make a decision from there because you also have you have the salary cap, you have roster spots, and Matt Prater's 41 years old. So it's not only just a decision for this season, it's a decision for 2026 as well.
Yeah. Do you think Matt Prater still has to move, or does he have people doing that from Lance? How are you feeling?
You think he would have somebody do it himself, but you never know, guys.
Lance, tell everybody what's cooking at the Buffalo News, the work you're putting up there.
Thank you so much, guys. Always appreciate you having me on. But yes, subscribe, a digital subscription, Sabres season, their first preseason games tonight. So we've got Mike Harrington and Rachel Lindsay on that beat. We got 3 of us on the Bills, me, Catherine Fitzgerald, and Jay Skursky. So more than worth your while for a digital subscription if you're not with us already. And because, we'll have you covered every step of the way, home and road. So thanks again, guys.
Yeah, appreciate the time as always, Lance. Keep up the great work.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys. Take care. Talk soon.
Lance Lysowski covering the Bills for the Buffalo News. After years of covering the Sabres for the News, nice to have Lance on the Bills beat.
Can you imagine what that's like?
Covering the Bills versus covering the Sabres?
Yeah, I would think that just your mood kind of brightens everything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think probably a little bit happier, a little bit better quality of life, maybe. Yeah, I think so.
It's strange. We haven't talked one thing about the Sabres at all.
I can break the seal right now if you want.
Okay.
Lindy Ruff on what he plans to do for the preseason between the pipes.
Probably, go probably 2 periods and give a goaltender 1. So if we go with a goalie 2 periods and give a goalie a period, give another guy 2 periods and give that same goalie, then everybody's going to get 2 periods. So that's kind of what we've got planned.
How you feel about that?
Oh, who cares?
I was waiting for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. It's football season.
Oh, who cares?
The preseason for the NHL, look, no, not right now.
Oh, who cares?
It's cute. Not right now. We're just getting going, man. We're just getting going on the roller coaster ride that is the NFL season. We'll monitor it. We'll pay attention to it. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, the Darlene story is horrific.
Yeah, wishing his wife his fiance continued speedy recovery.
Yeah.
My expectations are 0. I don't think I'm alone on that.
No, I don't think anybody has any expectations for the Sabres until they start to see it with their own eyes. Back to the Bills. The Saints, the opponent, week 4, and one former Buffalo Bill says, one Buffalo Bill offers his viewpoint on the Bills and Saints. This is Eric Wood earlier.
This is a Saints team that's reeling right now. And to me, this is a team that's going to come in. And I think defensively, they got to take some chances and try and create negative plays. And then offensively, are there plays down the field that they try and make? Is there some gadget type stuff? Because when you look at these 2 teams, as you said, they're in 2 totally different spots right now. You got a perennial powerhouse in Buffalo and a team trying to find themselves in the Saints. It's a situation now where you're kind of coming in with nothing to lose. Let's take some chances, see if we can create some negative plays. Maybe there's some big plays down the field off some gadget stuff, but they're going to have to really take some chances to try even to stay in this one, if I'm being honest.
So the Bills, again, I brought this up with Lance, like Josh Allen's second start, they were 17.5-point underdogs.
Right. We remember the first start was against the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
That was the game that
Vontae Davis quit.
Vontae Davis retired at halftime.
The late Vontae Davis. That's how long ago that was.
Oh, my God, yes.
So, Josh goes up. But the difference was, Danger, nobody knew what Josh Allen was. After that win, we still didn't know, like, oh, here's why the Bills made that investment. What is it we don't know about the Saints that all of a sudden they're going to rise up? We don't know about Spencer Rattler. We don't know about this deep.
Yeah, I don't think there's any secrets,
No.
Gino. I really don't think. I mean, it's Kellen Moore, so you know his offense. It's Spencer Rattler. He's got enough starts where you can look at the film and look at his tendencies. Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara. Defensively, I don't know if there's a lot of talent there. It's a void. It's just a giant void in talent between what the Bills are offering and what the Saints will be trotting out there. So I think the point spread is justified. And I don't disagree with what Wood is saying there. I think that if you're the Saints, take some chances, take some risks, see if you can get Buffalo on their heels a little bit, get after it a little bit more. That's the only way you're going to win. I mean, you can't be conservative. You can't play conservative when you're coming up to Buffalo and you're 0-3 against the Bills. So throw everything at them and see what comes out of it. I'm kind of upset that I'm not going to be here later this week because you have a great conversation scheduled for Thursday.
Bobby A. Bear. I
The Cajun Cannon.
Like, that guy is coming on the
It's a
show.
legend. An absolute legend.
He's doing talk radio now, WWL.
Yeah, he's in
legendary New Orleans
Yep.
station. He'll be joining us. So, I'm like, Danger, we got to have Bobby A. Bear on. So, thank you to you and your people.
Yeah, well, I was down there. I'm like, yeah, we'll get the Cajun Cannons to make an appearance in the sports bar during Saints Week. They're happy to oblige. So, Bobby Hebert, former Saints quarterback, joining us on Thursday here in the sports bar to preview Bills and Saints. I don't know if he's going to have anything really glowing to say about New Orleans, but about the Saints squad this year. But we'll see. We'll see what his evaluation is of the team for 3 weeks. I mean, yesterday they didn't show up against Seattle. That was kind of embarrassing.
I still don't know why they spent a second-round pick on Tyler Shuck.
Right.
Like,
What's
if
the plan?
you did that, what's the plan then? Like, when are you going to go to that kid?
Week 4 against the Buffalo Bills.
Like,
yeah. Why not? What do you have to lose? Mike McAllister from Syracuse on 24/7 is going to join us next hour. We'll get an update on Q's athletics. We have time for your calls at 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the things we had, you say you can't wrap your mind around college basketball or hockey. Like, we have this college basketball note that's just kind of a reminder that the sport has completely changed. Somebody else stepping away today.
Okay, we will get to that and more next, along with your calls. Stay in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan.
Do Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya, guselkumab, may help, with rapid remission achieved at 12 weeks and lasting clinical remission at 1 year. Some even saw visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine.
HD2 Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Decent matchup we have on Monday Night Football. It's the Lions and Ravens in Baltimore. John Harbaugh and his team facing an opponent they don't see that often.
It's middle of the field, kind of, crossing routes, in-breaking routes, high-low kind of combos when they drop back. A lot of play-action pass. It's a rhythm play-action passing attack. You kind of get it on time, but it's not a ball out immediately because it's off of play-action, and it's all set up by a really good run game with two really good backs and good offensive line, so it's good stuff.
Meanwhile, for the Bills, they're now 16.5-point favorites over the Saints on Sunday. Practice resumes coming up on Wednesday. One other NFL note, Nick Bosa is out for the season. The 49er defensive lineman has a torn ACL. Sabres preseason opens tonight in Columbus. The Mets are off tonight. They open a series at Wrigley tomorrow. The Yankees off tonight. They open a series at the stadium against the White Sox. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
We're back in the sports bar. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate everybody watching on the YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there, and you'll always know when we stream live here on The Fan. And thanks for engaging on X at The Fan Rochester, all of our social platforms at The Fan Rochester. You can find us in the free-to-download Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and, of course, thefanrochester.com. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Yeah, a quick college basketball note, because this has become the trend. Like this time of year, we should expect, hey, which well-named coach is going to step aside because they're looking at the gauntlet like, I don't need to do this anymore. And by leaving now, you put the school in kind of a bind because who are you going to get like a month before the season? So congratulations to Stephen Pearl. He's the son of Bruce Pearl. Stephen Pearl gets a 5-year contract because dad retired today.
Okay. I mean, I imagine that dad was probably grooming Stephen to take over the reins and that they were working in tandem together. So in that regard, I guess, fine. I mean, if you're the school, if you're Auburn and you're happy with the program and the systems that are installed by the program, by Pearl, and it's just going to be his son now running it, then great. 5 years it is. Let's see. I don't think it'll be the same, but let's see.
No, we'll see.
Yeah. Today, first day of fall, by the way, today, Gino. 2:19 this afternoon.
The vernal equinox.
I will say that seasonal take, if I may.
Ready.
My daughter famously said, fall begins after the last firework on the 4th of July explodes.
I think her take was summer was over.
Summer was over. Yeah, summer is over. Yes. Summer's over after the 4th of July. It's not fall. In fact, summer is still happening. It was 80 yesterday. I knew it was hot because I was hanging drywall, and I'm like, this is not fall. It's still summer. September is a summer month. This is a tough look for the Fall is Elite crowd. Let me explain. September is a summer month. Spring doesn't happen in March either. We've had ice storms in March. March is not spring. September is not fall. White Christmas, please. December is more likely to be gray and rainy than snowy. Push everything that you think you know about our four seasons a month forward. June is actually still spring. July, the first summer month. September is summer. And while fall may be elite, it doesn't start until October.
I would say that really we have more than four seasons, Mike Danger. This in-between stuff. We need names for this in-between stuff.
Well, we have fake spring. That happens every year.
Yeah, fake spring is the worst. Fake spring is like, hey, it's nice out. Oh, great. It's still 40 rainy. Like, we are done with summer. Yes, it was 80 out, but my definition of summer is, hey, I want to go outside. Wait a second. It's 7:15 and it's dark and I've got to have like a hoodie on now. Not summer. I'm sorry.
It was absolutely summer. I was in the garage watching the game last night wearing shorts and a T-shirt. Totally summer. Still summer. Not until we get until October. You know what? You know what it feels like it's not summer anymore? When the World Series gets going on. Now I'm like, okay, now it's fall. Because now you're right. Now I can't be outside after dark. And I know that the days aren't as long in the month of September. And certainly not in October, but when was the last time we had a chilly September? September is always warm. It's always like this. And I'm not complaining. I like it, but let's curb it on fall being. This is not fall. This is still summer.
No, stop wishing time away.
I'm not wishing time away.
No, I'm telling everybody else. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and go ahead and just clump in March. March is still winter. In Rochester. March is winter. It doesn't matter where you are, actually. Anywhere you are, March is winter. April, May, June. That's where you have your fake spring and your spring eventually.
We, in the year 2035, right before we retire, or I retire.
You're walking off.
I'm walking off 2035.
The Jim Nance plan.
The Jim Nance plan. I'm announcing my retirement. Like, well, that better not be fake spring.
Yeah.
Or I might have to wait until 2045 when the next major will come around in Rochester.
Mike McAllister, the publisher of Syracuse on 24/7, is going to join us here in about 15 minutes or so. And we'll get an update on the state of Syracuse athletics. Man, big win for the Orange against Clemson, not without some controversy, but I'm laughing at it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, so this is like Clemson's down by multiple scores, right? And there's not one but two guys that go on. That might have been the tell, Danger. That might have been the tell. Whose responsibility is this for the fake injury? And then two guys go down. I don't know how you call out somebody for faking a pull or whatever it is. It's kind of a slippery slope, is it not? Like,
right.
So how do we know that they were actually faking, that they were shaking up on the place? If you call high school football, you watch high school football, oh my gosh, these opening games, there's cramps everywhere. So how do we really not know?
Right, exactly right. And it's subjective, right? When you talk about the actual rule, it talks about the spirit of the sportsmanship or whatever. It's all ridiculous. And what happens at the end? Syracuse gets slapped with a $25,000 fine. Ooh. How are they going to afford that?
Wow. That will cause Wild Hack to say, you know what, Coach, we can't be doing that anymore.
That's insulting to fines, honestly. Like, that's not even a fine. That's insulting to what a fine actually is. So my message to college athletes and college athletics, cheat. Just cheat. Nothing bad comes from it. Go ahead.
Can I take a detour on the fine? Because I don't know if you saw this story or
Tell
not.
me.
So one of the problems with the WNBA is they can't control their own messaging. I think we can kind of agree on that. I'm not talking social issues or whatnot. I'm talking about, hey, you shouldn't be going after your own coach. You shouldn't be going after Caitlin Clark. You shouldn't be going after the officials. Caitlin Clark was fined for comments she made regarding WNBA officials. Want to take a guess how much the fine was, Danger?
Well, I was just laughing at $25,000.
$200.
Oh my God. What kind of a flex is that by the league? That's not even a flex. That's a blink. What are you doing?
Like, that should just be a basic, hey, you can't, every league should have this. Don't put the officials on blast. Be better. If you're really upset about it, we have processes that we can go through behind closed doors, but you don't do this in front because then everybody starts to question things. Fining $200.
I mean, I was going to say, because we were just talking about Syracuse getting fined $25,000. I was going to say, what, $10,000 was the fine? $200.
$200.
I mean, I spend more, going shopping for groceries on a weekly basis. What? Again, an insult to fines. The spirit is lost.
So Caitlin, as her team's still going on in the postseason, this was her on X today, got fined $200 for this, LOL. Bench mob will even be more rowdy tomorrow. Let's go. That was actually yesterday. She wrote that, but that's for the game tonight. Yeah, bench. Okay, here's another $200.
Yeah. I'm gonna say whatever I want and do whatever I want. I'll pay. She's essentially a spectator at this point anyways, so she's just paying her ticket to get into the game. Big news in the NFL with the injury 49ers Pro Bowl defensive end Nick Bosa. That's a season-ending torn ACL that he suffered in yesterday's win over the Cardinals. Now the Niners 3-0 in first place in the NFC West, but no Nick Bosa for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it was a very kind of ugly win yesterday. They grinded it out. Safety had a big part to do with that. Then the Niners have to kick the field goal at the end to win that. CeeDee Lamb is out 3 to 4 weeks, they're saying now. So that is not official from the Cowboys. That's Todd Archer reporting this, which actually Stephen Jones then kind of confirming it on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. So 3 to 4 weeks.
It was an ugly looking injury. I mean, you see his ankle get twisted up underneath. It's like, oh, that ain't good, and he did not return.
If it ends up being 4 weeks, you got the Green Bay game this week. I'm sorry, the Cowboys aren't winning this with or without CeeDee Lamb. Then you play at the Jets. Ooh. You get Carolina. Ooh. And then you get the Commanders. So
they can get a couple of wins out of that stretch without CD.
Yeah, the Cowboys are going to be one of these teams that are farting around, but ultimately they're doomed. If they thought it was a good idea, like, hey, Kyrie Elam, we know we just got ourselves a starting corner for this 7th-round pick. Okay.
Hey, can I get a verdict on Justin Herbert through 3 games? Because, man, it sure seems like everybody is now in love with Justin Herbert, early MVP consideration. And, off the field, he's now dating a pop star, an attractive pop star / social media influencer, and he's looking different, and he's dressing different, and he's playing with a different swag. I know that there's a lot to be said for his talent. He looks great through 3 weeks, but how much of what we're seeing out of Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert, and how much of what we're seeing out of Justin Herbert is actually the guy that is now the head coach with the Chargers, who's taken a team that couldn't help themselves and would just charger all the time. We turned chargering into a verb here in the sports bar. Harbaugh has instilled a level of confidence in his quarterback that I think is unmatched. I mean, this is what he does.
We have such a long way to go. All right. Let me just preface that. And things in this league always change. But if you had to say, what is a team with their style of play that you would fear Buffalo facing the postseason? Number one on the list is Baltimore. Okay, Baltimore comes back in. Okay, 3rd time is a charm for the Ravens. And that ultimately, you will have to face that, I would think. But amongst everybody else, it's the Chargers, right? They play this style, and you just hit it on the head. If Jim Harbaugh has changed the culture where you're winning close games over the Chiefs and the Broncos,
right,
and you are in command of this division now.
That's right. And they've won 2 of the 3 games in ways that they normally lose those kind of games. So interesting kind of development there. Interesting series of developments. Also mentioned that Najee Harris has an Achilles injury. He's done for the season as well. So it's really the Omari and Hampton show there. We'll talk some fantasy football tomorrow in the sports bar with Michael F. Florio.
So the Chargers, just to finish up on them, Danger, you don't think this is going to continue. They go to the Giants this week, all right, and then they host the Commanders. They go to Miami. I'm not saying that's a trap game or not. The Colts game all of a sudden looks okay. Vikings and the Titans, Chargers and Jaguars. You get some opponents there, but you also get some really nice layups.
Yeah, there's some haves and have-nots through 3 weeks in the NFL, is there not? I mean, I know that any given week, a team like the Browns can beat the Packers, but you get a better sense through 3 weeks of who's real and who's not. I tell you what, Dallas defense, terrible. Terrible. Absolutely atrocious. How do you know? Look at what they did the last 2 weeks. Look at what Russell Wilson looked like last night versus what he looked like last week against the Cowboys defense. Night and day. And that's defense. That's Russell Wilson didn't all of a sudden turn back into a pumpkin. He's taking advantage of a really, really bad defense in Dallas last week. This week, throwing 2 picks before the first half concludes. And I, for the life of me, can't understand why Brian Daboll didn't sit him down and put in the kid, put in Jackson Dart. You have a chance to win that game. What is it about Russell Wilson that makes a coach cower? This is Brian Daboll. He's fighting for his job. Maybe he doesn't want it, but he has the opportunity here. You beat the Chiefs. You haven't done much since you made the playoffs your first season there. You beat the Chiefs. You have something on your resume that you can point to and say, like, I deserve to continue to coach the New York Giants. And who do they have next week? We just said it. The Chargers.
Chargers, yeah.
They're not winning that game with Russell Wilson. They're not winning that game. Get out of here.
You'll have an announcement, which if you're going to go to Jackson Dart, my question would be, well, then with no expectation, why wouldn't you at least started the clock on Jackson Dart? Give him this year. And if you can show progression and you can build a little bit of hope, congratulations. You get to keep your job.
This is Brian Daboll, who got his job because of what he supposedly did to elevate Josh Allen's game and turn Josh Allen into the quarterback that he is now. I would argue that Joe Brady has had more to do with Josh Allen's success than Brian Daboll ever did. I would say Brian Daboll and Steph Diggs kind of share responsibility for putting Allen on the map. But what Brady has done with Allen is more impressive in that you've turned Allen now from a reckless quarterback into one that has complete control of an offense and knows his limitations within that offense.
I give Jordan Palmer a lot of credit too in that too. Like
Sure.
if we're actually somebody that was actually
Working with him.
You brought up the Giants. I'm going to bring up another team because this is a game that I guarantee hardly any of us were paying attention to. Fantasy-wise, you probably didn't have a lot going on here in this game. And in the end, it's a low-scoring game. But this is a team, Danger, that has won their division each of the last 3 years. And a team that, hey, they're on the – and you heard Lance Lysowski mention, wait a second, C.J. Stroud, what is going on?
Winless.
He was bad yesterday.
Yeah.
Bad. So the Texans at 0-3, interesting little factoid. Since we've gotten to since 2000, there's only been one team that's made the postseason at 0-3. That would be Houston of 2018. That's it.
Wow.
So at 0-3, you would think like, oh, you still got a chance. Sure, you do. Maybe in the expand. Now that's the flaw there in that stat is now you have more teams and maybe Houston could still get in. But the Texans being 3 games behind the Colts, okay, didn't see that coming. Stroud is concerning right now. Stroud has not taken that step forward this year.
And how about this? To bring it back to the Giants, if you're Brian Daboll, Daniel Jones would have gotten you fired if he stayed with the Giants, and Daniel Jones may get you fired now because he's not with the Giants. Daniel Jones looks amazing in Indianapolis. What did they unlock in Daniel Jones that Daboll couldn't unlock? Daniel Jones left for dead, and plenty of game. Looks really, really comfortable in that Colts offense.
Anthony Richardson, you're familiar here with Indeed.com, Anthony? You're like, wait, you are not getting your job back, buddy.
No, does not seem like your next team is waiting for you. Go ahead and start filing your paperwork now. All right, we got to talk some Syracuse athletics next. Mike McAllister is joining us next.
Yeah, what a win. And I'll put my hand up in there. Come on. Like Clemson, they came off a bad loss. They're going to roll Syracuse. And instead, they got rolled. Unless, Mike, the question right out of the gate, is that more about Clemson or more about Syracuse? Is Syracuse football, is that a team we're all sleeping on?
You know what we're all looking forward to, right? It's just over a month away. It's Halloween. I mean, North Carolina doing a great job beating up on who'd they beat up on? Charlotte. Richmond, yeah. Nice 2-2 record. You play anybody with any sort of program whatsoever, it doesn't go well. I can't wait.
She was on the sideline
again.
She was down there. What other
It's
coach,
amateur hour, man.
What other coach has their wife / significant other?
Not his wife. Not his wife.
No, I'm trying to broaden the scope there. Like, what other coach has their partner on the field? What business does she have being down there?
That business. She's just turning heads. That's all.
Did you take your medicine?
Look at me. Look at me on the sideline. Look what I can get away with. We'll get to Mike McAllister. We'll talk some Syracuse football next on The Fan.
Bills and Sabres, we're obsessed. Sprinkle in Amerks hockey, and you know why we are the Fan Rochester. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Week 3 of the NFL season wrapping up tonight. It's the Lions and Ravens in Baltimore. Detroit head coach Dan Campbell says it's Derrick Henry, the guy they got a key on.
You know, we cannot let him get going. You get him ahead of steam and he finds a crease, he's dangerous. So we're going to ask a lot of those guys, and they know the task ahead. But listen, that's why those guys are here.
Bills now 16.5-point favorites for their game coming up Sunday at home against New Orleans. Practice resuming in Buffalo on Wednesday. A couple other notes from the league. Nick Bosa is out for the season. The 49er defensive lineman has a torn ACL. CeeDee Lamb is going to be out the next 3 to 4 weeks. Hockey begins tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. It's the preseason opener in Columbus. The Yankees and Mets are both off tonight. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Mike McAllister is the publisher of Syracuse on 24/7. Mike, you have a couple guys here in Rochester who really weren't believers in Syracuse of their ability to beat Clemson. So I guess our question is, was this win on Saturday more about Syracuse or more about Clemson?
Well, the national narrative is going to be more about Clemson just because of the name brand recognition of what that program has been over the last, 10 to 15 years. 2 national championships, 8 out of the last 10 ACC titles. So you certainly understand from a national narrative, especially when this was the top 5 team in the country coming in, and everyone thought that they were going to be a national championship contender, and then they start 1-3 for the first time under Dabo Swinney. Obviously, that's going to be nationally what drives the narrative. But I think if you're making this more about that and less about what Syracuse has done since losing to Tennessee, then you're a little bit missing some of the point. Yes, Clemson has its issues, and starting 1-3 was not in the realm of possibility in their minds, and I certainly understand that. But did anyone from a national perspective really think that Syracuse was going to be able to go in there and not just win the game, but dominate it from start to finish? I don't really think that anyone expected that was going to be the way that this game would go. So to me, it said more about what Syracuse is, and it says more about where Syracuse is headed under Fran Brown.
Yeah, the win, it's great. You're right. It was more about Syracuse winning it than Clemson losing it. But it does come at a price. Steve Angeli, the quarterback, out for the season, the Achilles injury. So the question is, how big a loss is that, Mike? Go back to training camp because Angeli beats out Ricky Collins. Now it's Ricky Collins' time. How does this look moving forward?
Yeah, the biggest thing here, so, going back to training camp, it sounded like from everything that we heard and everything that the coaches have said is that this was a real close battle and that they felt real comfortable with both guys. Where this really is a setback, as much as anything, is Steve Angeli was just starting to come into his own, right? You go back to the end of the UConn game, and ever since that point, it looked like something clicked. And he just, from the end of that game through the entire time he was on the field against Colgate and the entire time he was on the field against Clemson, he looked like a poised, confident, comfortable quarterback who had command of this offense, knew it inside and out, similar to a lot of what we saw from Kyle McCord last season. So it took him a little bit to get there, though, right? Because he was a first-time starter. It was a little bit different than Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord came with a lot of starting experience. Angeli didn't have that. So he's kind of, there's a learning curve there. With Ricky Collins, he's in the same boat that Angeli was entering the season. He doesn't have starting experience at the collegiate level. So you're kind of resetting things from a learning curve, new quarterback that's got to sort of figure things out in live game situations and get used to some things and the speed and all of that. You're kind of starting over there, which is a disadvantage. The advantage you have, though, is he is a more mobile quarterback than what Steve Angeli was. So does that mean that we see maybe some changes in terms of, do they run a couple of designed quarterback draws or designed quarterback runs that you wouldn't have seen with Steve Angeli running the show? that perhaps gives you an advantage in these next couple of games, that you can switch things up a little bit with some things that you haven't shown on film.
Mike, I have to laugh. A $25,000 fine for faking injuries against Clemson. And it's the same message I had when they broke the news on the Michigan punishment. It's like, hey, if you're in college athletics, cheat. I mean, go ahead and cheat. What's the punishment, really? If you're Syracuse, you get the win over Clemson, and you do it by slowing down that offense and breaking up their rhythm with guys. I'm not saying that their injuries were fake, but they were certainly timely.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If you would tell any team it's going to cost you $25,000 a game to win every game for the rest of the year,
they would do it.
Are you going to cut a check for, what is that, $250,000 and go 2-0 or 12-0? Of course you are. Every team in the country would do that. So this is not a deterrent in any way, shape, or form. And again, I don't know exactly what happened. The ACC has access to more film than what we see in the live broadcast, right? Because I went back and rewatched the sequence at question, and I didn't see anything that looked obvious to me that this was a faking situation. I know Syracuse was having cramping issues on both sides of the ball in the second half after that long weather delay. And so I just chalked it up to that again. But if there's something else that they've seen that we haven't, and they have some what they believe is evidence that was going on, that's fine. But if your punishment is $25,000 because a public reprimand is essentially meaningless, that's like saying shame, shame, don't do it again, but not actually punishing at all. And if the $25,000 fine is really it, unless it escalates the more you do it, this is not a deterrent for anyone. And I agree with you. You know, the whole go ahead and cheat. Michigan won a national championship. I don't think that the punishment that they received, that they would trade that national championship in to not get those punishments.
But it's unethical and contrary to the spirit of the rules.
Yeah, okay. I mean, listen, everyone does stuff that are contrary to the spirit of the rules in every single game. You know, it's why I kind of laughed a little bit when Brahim Long got flagged for taunting for slapping his helmet after making a good tackle, when I'm like, I see like 30 players in every game and across the country do this every week. Mm-hmm. And that's the one that you decide to randomly call. But, you know, if you're a conspiracy theorist that believes that the ACC is going to protect its Carolina teams and doesn't care about the teams up north, all of this is fodder for that.
Mike, we take a little bit of pride here in Rochester. Justice Ross Simmons. I remember seeing him at East, and it's that weird post-COVID year where they got to play high school football in the spring, and kid defensively, just what a monster he was at that side of the ball. Now here he is on offense. Tell us a little bit more, about him. How did he come back to the program, and what is the ceiling for him, would you say?
I mean, the ceiling for him to me is, you look at what Jackson Meeks was last year for Syracuse, and he turned into an NFL prospect and certainly made a name for himself during the preseason, and is with the Lions now. So I think his ceiling might be even a bit beyond that, because he's got a little bit of a head start in terms of starting and being a full-time player back from when he was at Colorado State and everything else. But yeah, I mean, I remember hearing his name in recruiting circles when he was in high school. And sometimes it's just hard to tell, like, is this guy a legitimate FBS player, or is he just dominating the players that he's going up against because, they don't have a lot of players that look like him, right? That he's matching up with. But the more you watched him, the more you just thought, I think this guy's a really good player that has a lot of potential at this level. And he proved it at Colorado State. He was their best receiver. Colorado struggled to cover him, and once he entered the portal, it's a little bit different under Fran Brown than it was under Dino Babers when he was a high school recruit, and that Fran has really prioritized New York State recruiting, and that includes out of the transfer portal. And he looked at him and said, "Why are you not coming and playing home and being at home? You should be here. You should be representing the big FBS school in New York State, and you should be here. That's an hour and a half from home." And Justice bought into what Fran's message was and decided to come here. And he's been, as long as he's been healthy, he's been one of their primary targets for the last 2 years.
Our friend Mike McAllister is the publisher of Syracuse on 24/7. We're talking some Syracuse football in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia on the heels of Syracuse getting the upset win over Clemson on Saturday. Look at the rest of the schedule here, Mike, and break it down for us. Tell us what pitfalls you see. I mean, there's certainly some formidable ACC opponents down the stretch, with Miami looking really, really good so far this year. But I think all of our eyes are gazed towards Halloween when North Carolina comes to the JMA Wireless Dome.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be fun because you got Bill Belichick coming, but North Carolina hasn't looked that great so far this season. So, I mean, just based on the way they've looked right now, you would think Syracuse would be a pretty solid favorite in that game. But listen, Duke has really struggled offensively. That's what they played this Saturday, or defensively, I should say. They have struggled against everybody. Everybody has moved the ball really well against them. So that bodes well if you're Syracuse going into this game, even with a new quarterback. And even though Duke has done a pretty good job at times offensively, they're a little bit inconsistent. So given the fact that you're at home, you would feel pretty good about that game. Then you go play at SMU. And I think before the season started, you said, well, you're on the road against a team that was in the playoff last year, et cetera. But SMU's been a little bit up and down this year. They've got a couple of losses already. So I don't think that's a game where, at least on paper, you go into it thinking Syracuse is going to be completely overmatched. Now, part of that depends on how Ricky looks against Duke, right? If he looks great and the Syracuse offense continues to move the football and they continue to look good, then, yeah, you're fine. If he really struggles and the offense looks completely different, then you kind of have to reset things and change things. But as we know now, after you play SMU, you got Pitt at home. That's a game that I think Syracuse is itching to try to prove that last year was a little bit of a fluke with how lopsided that was. And then, in my opinion, that next stretch after the Pitt game, where 3 of your next 4 are on the road, and you're playing number 16 Georgia Tech, number 2 Miami, and number 22 Notre Dame in those 3 road games, that's as tough of a stretch as anyone's going to have all season long. And so if you can figure out a way to just get one of those 3, I think you set yourself up pretty good to end up with, 7 or 8 wins by the time the season's over.
I was hoping you would say, hey, this team is going to be in the postseason. They'll be one of the 2 teams that will be selected. Mike McAllister, publisher of Syracuse on 24/7. I mean, for Fran Brown, if we're just looking at this nationally, what the reaction has been, like last year, hey, that was a honeymoon, double-digit wins, good win in the get over Washington State in the postseason. And then you get this, all right, beat UConn, and I'm getting headlines because I made my team run. Where are we at with Brown in year 2 of the program? And certainly it's always recency bias right now. Things are looking good after a win over Clemson. But your thoughts here on how he's building the program overall here, Mike?
I haven't seen the fan base this excited about Syracuse football, I think, since Donovan McNabb was here. And just about the direction of the program and how good they are and the way that it's, the trajectory of it and all of that. The fans are still as gung-ho on Fran Brown as they were, midway through last season when they were winning games and everything else. So it's still, I would say honeymoon phase-ish in terms of the attitude from the fans. But, you can see what he's building. I came into the year saying, listen, Steve Angeli, it would be unfair to expect him to be Kyle McCord and lead the nation in passing like Kyle did. And yet, before he got hurt, he was leading the nation in passing. So, at some point, you just got to say, listen, he's a good coach. He knows how to attract other good coaches. We know that he can recruit with the best in the nation. And he's just someone that players, recruits, coaches, et cetera, flock to, respect. He's incredibly authentic. There were, a couple NFL players that played for him at Georgia and other stops that made comments in their post-game interviews and said, shout out to Fran Brown, keep doing your thing up at Syracuse. The Syracuse wide receivers are getting on the You Got Moss seemingly every week now. So, they went viral for that running thing after the UConn game, but they're also getting a lot of attention for all the positive things that Syracuse is doing on the football field as well.
Mike, let's shift gears, and we're still over a month away from the start of Syracuse basketball, but I'm curious as to how their offseason has gone here and what we can look forward to this season.
Yeah, it's the similar thing to last year is there's a lot of stuff that we don't really know. Like how is Donnie Freeman going to come back from his injury? Did J.J. Starling take that next step in his game? Things like that. But I think there's more proven quantities in terms of what they got in the transfer portal, especially at the high major level, like grabbing a guy like Nathan George from Georgia Tech, who I think he led the ACC in assists last year. And a lot of schools wanted him. North Carolina went after him real hard and thought they were going to get him, and Syracuse was able to snag him. We know that they have one of the best recruiting classes in the country coming in with Sadiq White and Kyan Anthony coming in, but they're freshmen, and you just never know, regardless of how highly ranked a freshman is, how they're going to play in year one. So there's some interesting, see how those types of things play out, and especially with Kyan Anthony and that last name and what his dad did here. You hope that if he doesn't have that same type of impact, that fans are patient and don't just immediately expect he'll be the best player in the country the moment he steps on the floor. He's not the same type of player, but they certainly on paper seem to have more talent. I think they're deeper, and they're just a different type of team than what they were last year. And I think specifically along the interior, they're much more athletic. They have bigs that can switch defensively, and they'll be better at rim protection as well, which I know was a big issue last year.
Last 4 seasons, no postseason basketball. 2 years ago under Red Autry, 20-12. Last year slipping to 14-19. Is the seat warm right now for Adrian Autry?
I mean, it seems like it is from the comments that John Wildak has made, that they're expecting significant improvement and expecting to be in the NCAA tournament. So that, to me, would suggest that there's some warmth there, because if you don't meet those expectations that your boss has set, that seems to be not a great thing for your future, right? But I think the coaches feel pretty confident that with the roster they've put together and with the guys they got coming back and the new faces coming in, that they'll be able to put a product on the court that is good enough to get to the postseason and get Syracuse basketball back into March Madness where it belongs.
It's interesting, though, Mike. You're right. I mean, the expectation has been set, and we're not wishing anybody to lose their job. But if you don't live up to those expectations, I guarantee you a guy like John Wildhack already has some thoughts in mind as to what this could look like if it doesn't go their way. Who are some of the names that would fit? Who's next? Who's in the pipeline? Who's in the, gossiping and chattering about who could be if it doesn't go well for Red Autry this year, the next coach at Syracuse?
Yeah, it's hard to speculate like that, because you just never know. But I think every AD at every institution has names in the back of their mind that if something were to happen to my coach, whether it's me getting rid of them taking another job, them deciding to retire, whatever the case is, I've got names in the back of my mind of who I want to target. Now, I think the one that most people are going to point to is Jerry McNamara at Siena, because of his connection to Syracuse. Obviously what he did here as a player, the fact that he was an assistant for such a long time, and the fact that he did a pretty good job in year one at Siena and has done a really good job on the recruiting trail as well. He just landed a 4-star guard in the 2027 class, I should say. So he's doing a really good job on the recruiting trail. So he's someone I think that some would at least say should get a mention. And his name is escaping me. I think he's the head coach at Arkansas State right now, but he's got Central New York ties as well. I think perhaps he was an assistant under Nate Oates at Buffalo. Might even be from the area, but he's done a really good job at Arkansas State and has recruited well there as well. So those are a couple of names that I've heard at least some fans say that if there was a coaching change, they wouldn't mind Syracuse taking a look at. But you hope that if that does happen, that they do one of those national search committee type of situations so that, it doesn't just look like, let's just go find an alum and bring them in and be done. It looks like you went through an entire process and evaluated all the candidates that were available and decided, if it is someone like a Jerry McNamara, that he was the best fit for your program at this time and wasn't just sort of a quick and easy. Let's do this and be done with it.
Yeah, it would make everybody feel good, ultimately, but that would be a tough decision. I don't want to wish that. I would love for Syracuse fans to enjoy a NCAA berth. Syracuse and Duke, noon kickoff at the Dome, sold out Saturday. As we're reading about this game and everything else, Orange, Mike, tell everybody about what you got working over there at On 24/7.
Yeah, we do a lot with upcoming games every week, and usually there are player interviews that are available to the media on Tuesday, so we'll post those throughout the week, and we'll post how you can watch the game if you're unable to make it to the Dome, and then we'll scout the opponent as well to give you some insight on what you can expect from Duke when they come into the Dome, what their strengths and weaknesses are, how they've done so far on the season, key players to watch, and things of that nature. So we'll have you fully covered on CuseNation.com throughout the week.
Mike, fantastic insight, great information as always. Appreciate you giving us some of your time, and we'll talk again real soon, bud.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
You got it there. He's Mike McAllister is the publisher of Syracuse on 24/7. You can get a lot of Syracuse information and news there from Mike. They're doing a great job.
It's funny, like you're thinking, wow, like maybe we were wrong about the Orange. And yeah, pretty much 8 wins would be a good season.
Right.
Okay, yeah, you do have ranked opponents coming up in Georgia Tech, Miami, also Notre Dame is still ranked.
Give us another upset. Show us that Clemson wasn't a fluke. Because yes, we're going to say this was about Syracuse. This was about Syracuse beating Clemson, not necessarily Clemson giving the game to Syracuse.
You beat Georgia Tech last year.
You can beat them.
You can beat them.
Right.
Can you give Miami a game?
That's going to be tough.
You beat them last year, too.
That's going to be tough.
You beat them. Well, it's down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Halloween night.
We're watching for multiple reasons. Also, when does she make the appearance on the sideline? Feels like it's a weekly occurrence now.
She coming to the Dome?
Look at me. I'm on the sideline with my boyfriend.
Thirst.
So thirsty. Just dying to go viral. It's got to kill her that the NFL is stealing all of her pub. We haven't talked about her as much since football season started, right? It was a long off season. Long off season.
We would have been talking about, oh my gosh, look, she's on the sideline wearing this.
Lots of Jordan Hudson talk in the off season. Not so much anymore. But she is still making her appearances, still showing up there on the sideline, which is weird. Happy Hour is next on the Fan Rochester. Lots to recap from Week 3 in the NFL, which concludes tonight on Monday Night Football in Baltimore with the Lions coming in to take on the Ravens. We'll get you set up for the Bills and the Saints and start talking about that here coming up on Sunday afternoon. The 1 o'clock kickoff from Orchard Park has everybody excited. And we'll recap what we learned from Mike McAllister. Also, our conversation with Lance Lysowski from earlier today. All on the way next. Your calls welcome as well at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Week 3 of the NFL season wrapping up tonight. It's the Lions and Ravens in Baltimore. John Harbaugh knows kind of what to expect.
It's middle of the field, kind of, crossing routes, in-breaking routes, high-low kind of combos when they drop back. A lot of play-action pass. It's a rhythm play-action passing attack. You kind of get it on time, but it's not a ball out immediately because it's off of play-action, and it's all set up by a really good run game with 2 really good backs and good offensive line, so it's good stuff.
Meanwhile, the Bills heavy favorites on Sunday. That line now up to 16.5 for the 1 o'clock kickoff against the Saints. Practice resuming for Buffalo on Wednesday. A couple other notes from the league. Nick Bosa, the 49ers, he's out for the season. The defensive lineman with a torn ACL. CeeDee Lamb, a high ankle sprain. Lamb out in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Sabres preseason begins tonight in Columbus. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Welcome to Happy Hour in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Thanks for joining us. Glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Everybody watching on the Fan Rochester YouTube, our channel, like and subscribe. We're also streaming on Twitch at the Fan Rochester. And, of course, you can hear us where we're sounding our best, the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, and the TuneIn app. Fun show this afternoon talking Syracuse hoops and Syracuse football with Mike McAllister and Lance Isowski covering the Buffalo Bills for the Buffalo News. If you missed those conversations, search out the Sports Bar wherever you get your shows. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your favorite platforms.
Who was disappointed by the NFL yesterday? You could be disappointed in your team. You could be disappointed that, hey, I didn't have a bet go my way. Or
I can give you a team who's disappointed. I mean, there are plenty of fans who are disappointed in their teams, but I think number one on the list, how about blocking a field goal on the 21st of September, only to have the Buccaneers go downfield and score to win the game? Aaron Glenn. Nice little celebration there.
What was that like? He's doing this. That dance.
I want to party with Aaron Glenn after that. Like, well, let's get Aaron Glenn to every wedding possible. Every wedding in the area, you want Aaron Glenn there because that guy's a party. You get a live band playing at a wedding, you want Aaron Glenn on the dance floor. That was fun. And when they scored, and Gene, I know you and many who picked Tampa Bay were sweating a little bit.
Rightfully so. The Tampa Bay up 26-6. You allow somebody to score 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns and survive, and you still won the game.
Yeah. And when Todd Bowles was asked about it afterwards, I mean, are you effing S-ing me? Like, what was going through your head when they scored that touchdown off of a blocked field goal? If you're a head coach, you're like, I can't believe that this is happening.
I love, though, what you told me Baker Mayfield said. Baker Mayfield, who he's always had a chip. And when he in college, let me just say, I didn't like his act at Oklahoma, planting the flag. He was just mouthy, but
it plays.
Now it's refined.
It plays.
Now he's kind of grown into this, and this team has grown around him. But who's the Jets defensive coordinator? Steve Wilkes. Okay, Steve Wilkes, he's been everywhere. I've been everywhere. Yeah, he's been in San Francisco. He's with the Jets. He was in Carolina. Totally forgot that Wilkes was the interim head coach when Mayfield was there.
That's right. So when Mayfield was asked about the win and the comeback after squandering a lead and giving up a touchdown in a fashion that makes many believe, oh, you're not coming back from that. You're winning. The Jets are winning that game. Baker Mayfield just drives the team down, field goal range, kicks the field goal, asked afterwards, telling reporters that he loved it. Also, their D coordinator was the one that cut me in Carolina. And you mentioned it. It was Wilkes, who was the interim head coach with the Panthers. After Matt Rule left, Mayfield wanted to be released. Wilkes dropped him on the depth chart below P.J. Walker. below P.J. Walker. Now, think about a world where P.J. Walker is listed above Baker Mayfield. That is the work of Steve Wilks. Baker Mayfield is just the right amount of petty, but his competitiveness shows every time he's on the field, and you could just feel his teammates rally around it. In fact, this isn't new. It was like this when he was in Cleveland as well. You can not like it or say it's brash or it's cocky or I love it. I think it's exactly what your quarterback needs to be, especially when you're an undersized quarterback like Baker Mayfield is. You play bigger than your body.
That's 3 straight games that he and his offense had to drive in the last minute to win the game. 3-0, all winning it in the last minute. They are really the cardiac kids here.
And when you look at that division, I was high on Atlanta going into this week. I'm like, Atlanta's defense is pretty pesky. That's a pretty solid unit there, and they've got, Ulbrich now as their defensive coordinator, so he's going to get his guys fired up to play. And the way they didn't show up against Carolina, well, now Atlanta feels fraudulent. And Tampa feels like the only real thing going in the NFC South.
Yeah, was it Atlanta, and hey, we're facing J.J. McCarthy. We haven't even gotten to your guy, Danger.
I told you, Gino. And I mentioned it to Dan DeLorean before we got on the air. He's a Viking fan. But I had no doubt that a 6'5", 235-pound quarterback from North Dakota State University with a blue-collar work ethic and Midwestern values would show up for the team he grew up cheering for, the Minnesota Vikings. I'm here to tell you, the way that schedule lays out, Gino, and you can pull up the Vikings schedule and let me know. There's a game on the schedule that if I've got it circled, I'm like, if Wentz is still playing at the level that he played yesterday, and it wasn't anything spectacular, he threw a couple of touchdown passes. I don't say he's the reason they won the game, but he played better than J.J. McCarthy did through 2 weeks.
So the Vikings go to Pittsburgh this week. Or actually, that's in Ireland. Check that.
That's right.
So, okay, this is the week we go. Everybody's, wake up Sunday, enjoy some coffee. You're going to not head into the Bills game and watch football from Ireland.
Ironically, I'll be in a Minneapolis airport Sunday morning while that game is going on.
And then I want to say, I forget which country Vikings and Browns is in, but that's also overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the Vikings double dip over there. October 19th after a bye. So they go over, the 2 games over there. They come back.
Mm-hmm.
They face Philadelphia at home, Mike Dean.
Carson Wentz revenge game. Are you kidding me? The Ginger General is playing a game in Ireland. You think he's going to lose? He's the Ginger General. He's gonna whoop the Steelers. Going to embarrass the Steelers in Ireland. And then you stay there and you beat the Browns in London? You're not jet lagged? You're just getting comfortable with your European time zone? You get that bye week, and then, yes, the revenge game. Now, my fear is that McCarthy will be healthy by the time you get to that Eagles game.
Nope. Like, if he wins 2, you can't go back, right?
This is where it gets crazy, right?
Yeah.
This is where the NFL, this is where dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things. Because I can't tell you that there isn't somebody above Kevin O'Connell saying, no, McCarthy needs to be out there.
Says who? What would lead you to say that that's the guy, that's the quarterback he has shown? He's still young. Give him, like, if you're winning games, you ride this.
Week 2 against the Falcons on national TV, he throws some bad interceptions. And you see O'Connell. And I think that's as frustrated as you're going to see O'Connell as that coach. He was measured, but he pulled him aside. And you can only imagine what he's saying. Like, hey, come on. You can't be giving them extra possessions. You can't be turning the ball over. They lose that game to the Falcons. And now you see the Falcons lose to the Panthers, and it makes you wonder just how good is Minnesota. Well, with Wentz behind center, I think they're a better team right now. McCarthy might be the answer long-term, but right now, we've seen this before. Kevin O'Connell can take anybody, any quarterback, and turn them into something. He's done this before.
See Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. Josh Dobbs had a moment with Kevin O'Connell. It's not uncommon. So can Wentz revitalize his career in Minnesota? Gino, he's going into the Hall of Fame as a Minnesota Viking.
Going to what Hall of Fame?
This is vindication for me.
NFL Hall of Fame?
This is vindication for me. Yes. Yes. He is going to retire a Viking.
North Dakota Hall of Fame?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, he's going in.
There should be a new game here in the show. Where is Mike Danger this week? 2 weeks ago, New Orleans. Last week, Virginia, on assignment. This weekend, you're going home.
Oh, no.
Everybody gonna be excited.
Yeah,
Oh.
no. I'm going home to see some friends in Minnesota. I'm looking forward to that. I'll be in Toronto. Every time I'm in Toronto, I always say the same thing. I need more Toronto in my life. We have this great, massive city with so much energy.
Well, if only, but we could find easy transportation to get over there.
This is good. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's think about this for a second, because the drive is typically about 3 hours. You got to cross the border. Okay, there's that.
All right, so
what if we can make it a little bit easier? Is there a way to make it easier?
Well, what if you just kind of sat down and did somebody else's drive? I'm not talking about a bus. Like, if we just drew a direct line across.
Oh, that would be fun if I could just relax instead of have to drive. What is there a vessel or something that could make that happen?
See, somebody's got to bring that back, because, like, if you're on international waters, like, you could put slots and everything. Can you imagine just gambling for 3 hours on a boat and ride over to Toronto?
Only if it's fast, though.
No, we don't want a slow ferry.
I can't take a ferry that's going to take longer to get there than my drive. So can you get me, I don't know, something, maybe you can shave me 15 to 30 minutes of my day? Can we shave that much time? The ferry has to be fast. Can somebody get into the lab and create something for us? Come up with an idea. I'm sure it will work. It has to work. Just for us to go there a little bit seamlessly. If only that existed. If only. There's a portion of our audience that doesn't remember the fast ferry.
They have no idea what we're talking about.
No idea.
So, what year was that? Circa 299?
2000. Well, my trip on the fast ferry was probably around 2006.
Really?
Early
Was that
2000s.
late? Okay.
Yeah. So, you might remember it, or you might have known that there was a fast ferry, but you never took it because it wasn't here very long. But I remember taking it and really enjoying it.
I don't think it lasted a year.
Yeah, it did not.
No.
It did not. But I remember taking it and really enjoying it. I would do it again. It just, from the moment it started, I'm like, I don't know how many Canadians are going to say, hey, I can't wait to take that ferry and go down there to Rochester.
I thought it was more like, hey, let's improve the quality of our life, not to digress. But when the private investment, they went belly up, okay, it happens all the time. It was, you know what, we're the government. We're going to take, okay, like, you're going to make it any better rather than, okay. So anyhow.
You can't pave roads. Come on. Really? What are we doing? So, yeah. Unfortunately, Gino, I won't be here for the rest of the week. But I look ahead at the week of guests that are coming into the sports bar. You're going to be just fine.
Oh, yeah. The Cajun Cannon's coming by.
Bobby
A. Bear.
Saints week and Bobby A. Bear stopping by the sports bar.
Not Herbert.
No,
Not
A. Bear.
Herbert. A. Bear.
The Cajun Cannon. He's a legend. Who doesn't remember Bobby A. Bear playing quarterback for the Saints back in the day?
How big is his radio show down
Massive.
there? Yeah.
Massive.
He's like the guy down there.
He's the guy. He and Deuce McAllister. They might as well just name streets after both of them. They're great. And Bobby A. Bear is going to be stopping by the sports bar Thursday afternoon. It is Saints week. We had Lance Lysowski of the Buffalo News join us in the 3 o'clock hour as we kind of recapped the game from Thursday night, looked around the league. Now that we have another data point under our belt here, looking around the AFC, you start to project what the Bills could look like here the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And I think what we all are hoping to see is an improvement on the defensive side of the ball, a defense that looks different than the defense we saw last year, knowing that last year's defense wasn't good enough ultimately to get you to where you want to go.
That's all it is. Like, if you're getting upset that we are critical after a win that puts the team at 3-0 and you beat the Bills division, maybe this show isn't for you. Okay, like, I'm just being honest. Like, you have to look at this through this lens. Is this good enough to beat elite teams? And you got away with it against Baltimore, and they're an elite team. You got away with it against Miami too, but you can't continue to do this. I think, Danger, the answer lies within all right, can the Bills actually get the personnel that they want on the field? You're not going to be able to fix the secondary. I'm not really high on the safeties. I'm really concerned about corner 2. But when you get Hoyt and Ogunjobi back, not to mention Milano and Oliver back, when you get that whole combo working, just hope that nothing else kind of falls apart in the interim. And just be a little smarter. Just mental mistakes. It's not very McDermott like what we saw, and better tackling too, certainly. So the Saints, we're not even worried about the Saints. 16.5 danger. I think I found this. Biggest point spread in Buffalo Bills history where the Bills were the favorite. You got to go back to 1991. Buffalo, a 15.5 point favorite against a divisional opponent at the time, the Colts. Colts were really a joke back then.
Do we know if they covered?
They won 42-6. They indeed covered. Biggest spread all time. I'm going to give you the date. You're good at this. The date was October 13th, 2013.
No, is
Nothing
this for
to do
the
with
Bills?
No.
All
So
time.
the biggest spread for the Buffalo Bills, 15.5 point favorites, they win. Right now, the line is 16.5. I'm not saying it is. I can't find another bigger line. So in my world, according to my research,
this will be the biggest spread.
This is the biggest spread the Buffalo Bills have ever put out there. The NFL record is 26.5
My
points.
God.
This was a game October 13th, 2013.
Okay, 2013. You probably had the Patriots in the middle of their dynasty. Am I on to something?
It is not the Patriots.
Okay.
But you're right in the sense, okay, quarterback peak of his powers.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Peyton
Manning.
Manning and the Colts, potentially.
You're a little off the timeline.
Okay, no, you're right, because Peyton was with the Colts earlier, so quarterback, peak of their powers.
I just gave you the answer.
I'm off the timeline?
Yeah, this is Peyton Manning and the Broncos.
Oh.
This is the year Peyton shows up, and all of a sudden he is playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's healthy. The Broncos against Jacksonville, 26.5 point favorite.
Really?
Yep, I remember this. And Jacksonville gets some late points, and Denver doesn't cover. It's still a 16-point win, though.
Yeah. Wow. I forgot that Jacksonville was that bad, but Jacksonville has been mostly bad for their existence. Teams that have been mostly bad. How about, hey, no sympathy if you're one of the suckers who picked the Packers in your Survivor League. Don't you listen to the sports bar. Listen to Uncle Gino over here.
Listen to me. Listen to PJ. PJ told you that was like he was so confident coming out of the gate. Cleveland's going to win this game outright. I'm like, what? And it fit. Bad defenses are bad plays, but then if you have a great defense that can muck it up, and that's what Cleveland has a tendency to do.
Cleveland doesn't let you run the football. You can't run the football against that defense. At least that's what we've seen through 3 weeks. And Jordan Love is a good quarterback. I've yet to see the game where Jordan Love like single-handedly wins you the game. He's in that category. Like I always like to say, can you win with or because of that guy? And you could certainly win with Jordan Love. The Packers have won plenty with Jordan Love, but have they won because of Jordan Love?
3:40 to go. And like you're just throwing to an empty spot on the field where Cleveland was just very happy to intercept and bring the ball back and get that tying touchdown. Like 10 points at Cleveland. I'm sorry, that's got to be better. That's a trap game. That was a trap game.
You fools who selected the Packers in your Survivor pool. No sympathy. Just listen to the sports bar. We're always going to give you the winner.
Oh, well, I mean, if we are going by the mantra of no saving, and we're not going to save, right, is there any other choice this week?
I think we've already laid it out.
I think we've already laid it out. I mean, just let somebody else outthink themselves. Like, if we're just going through this danger, like other teams, other than Buffalo that you might want to pick, Detroit, 8.5 at home against Cleveland. Cleveland can't do that back-to-back, could they? Oh, Green Bay on the road. Maybe they can't do that back-to-back. If you didn't take our advice and you week one and we use Denver, we can't use Denver. That's the following Monday night game. Oh, no, that's 2 weeks. I beg your pardon.
Well, Seattle would have been a pick yesterday that I think a lot of people were high on as well. So I know that some survivor pools got thinned out pretty good with Green Bay losing on the road to Cleveland, but no sympathy. You don't take a road team if you can avoid it when you're picking your game for fantasy or for survivor rather. I mean, I don't know what happened to Atlanta. I mean, Houston 0-3. That's nobody really talks about what's going on in the AFC South, but Indianapolis at 3-0 and Houston at 0-3. Nobody predicted that through 3 weeks of this season. And we all saw it wrap up last night, Sunday Night Football in the Meadowlands. I think Brian Daboll lost his job last night. I don't know if there's any coming back from this. I think you had the perfect opportunity against the defending AFC champions at home. You're in this game. Your boneheaded quarterback throws not one but two first-half interceptions. You have every reason and justification as the head coach to make a ballsy decision and sit down, Russ, and put the kid in. And I know that a lot of people, well, that's just what the fans want. How could it be worse? Explain to me how it could be worse? And tell me what you saw or didn't see out of Jackson Dart this preseason that leads you to believe that he shouldn't be out there at least to get a shot, at least to get some reps. We like Brian Daboll, but he got hired in part because of what he supposedly did to Josh Allen's career and helping Josh Allen ascend. Well, he couldn't do it with Daniel Jones, who's now 3-0 with Indianapolis. He couldn't do it with Daniel Jones when he was his quarterback. So who's he going to do it with? Get the kid out there. He didn't do it. And now they're 0-3. They're probably going to go 0-4 after losing the Chargers. That schedule is brutal for the Giants.
Can I throw some shade at Shane, too?
Sure.
Okay.
Get a kicker. How about that?
Well, exactly. Graham Gano is 38. And look, if you can do the job, do the job. Except, do you know, he over the last 2 years has missed 16 games.
Bye. 16
games because of soft tissue. Do you think that could happen again? Possibly. In a league where kickers are plentiful. Like, that should just be an easy box. Okay, Are you not going to get... This is the second time of year where, like, there's got to be the worst feeling. Like, oh, gosh, we got to have the punter kick tonight. Like, how many fans were in the stands, Danger, last night? Hey, it's 4th and 3. All right, you know what's the Chiefs? Take the point. Whoa, we're going for it. Yeah, we're going for it. No, you have no other choice but to go for it.
Right. Well, you don't have a kicker. Get a kicker. Yeah, I no sympathy for the Giants, and maybe they deserve to lose their job because this doesn't look right. Kansas City doesn't look right. They don't look engaged. I mean, aside from Travis Kelce doing the usual yelling at Andy Reid thing, which is always uncomfortable and awkward.
Yeah, and it's always the same. Oh, everything's fine.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. Okay, in your world, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something off there. They just look disengaged.
Disengaged. Like Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. You can't tell me that was intentional. Like him throwing the ball behind. Like, oh, here's a lateral. Like,
right, twice.
Yeah.
But it all points to, when you kind of look at the results from yesterday, and again, a third week of data points now that we can look at, the schedule for the Bills still remarkably soft for the next few weeks. Even when you factor in what Kansas City might be this year, I'm not saying that they are what we saw last night. They're not as bad. They get the win. I mean, they still get the win. But the Buccaneers, really the first challenging opponent beyond the Chiefs in this first half of the season for the Buffalo Bills on their schedule. The Saints, the Patriots who can't get past the Steelers, the Patriots at home can't get past Pittsburgh. So there's... And we don't, like I said, which Falcons team are the Bills going to get on Monday night? Because if it's the Falcons team that got blanked by Carolina yesterday, the Bills are going to have a nice little start of the season here and be in control of their quest for the 1 seed in the AFC.
Jack writing in, wait, Bobby A. Bear was a Saints quarterback? I remember him leading my USFL Michigan Panthers. Were you wearing your Chuck Muncie jersey there when
nice
you were
pull.
doing that? Nice pull. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Brad in Rochester. What's up, Brad?
Hey, dude.
Hey, I'm looking at the Chiefs, and all I can think of is when Andy Reid was in the last couple of years when he was with Philly, and he lost the team. They did good, not great. And the voice or whatever didn't hit right, and it led to him being let go. That's what I see with the Chiefs. And Bobby Aber, didn't he get sat down because he didn't read the playbook in Buffalo?
No, you're getting her say that's Billy Joe Tolliver.
Oh.
Yes. Not Bobby, but Billy Joe.
Oh,
Brad, get your Saints quarterback straight.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate you, man. That's funny. What an indictment on the Saints as an organization that we're getting their horrible quarterbacks mixed up. We don't know who was the one that read the
Actually,
playbook.
that was somebody that he joined the Bills. And then he actually, do you remember this?
Billy Joe Tolliver.
Yeah, like he comes in and I better make sure, was it Billy Joe Tolliver? There was 2 Billy Joes.
For the Bills?
Yeah, like they were in this league. Like he said, hey, Billy Joe playbook.
Billy Joe Tolliver is a good one. I think as far as like all timers,
Billy Joe Hobart.
Billy Joe Hobart.
Billy Joe Hobart.
Yeah, okay.
That was the one.
No, we'll have the Cajun Cannon, who actually had some success from what I remember. Or at least he was fun. I'll say that. But Bobby Aber was fun when he was the Saints quarterback. He's joining us on Thursday. To his point on Andy Reid, that's interesting. What's the threshold for pain if you're the Chiefs? I mean, this is a guy that resurrected the franchise, that's gotten you to the Super Bowl. I mean, this resume is not the same resume as what he had in Philadelphia. I mean, sure, in Philadelphia, you didn't win the Super Bowl, but he got you to the NFC Championship. He got
timeout. I know exactly how this is going to go because I've heard enough from Binkley and others out there. The goalposts will get moved, okay? The division will slowly fade away, and you'll hear, we'll be the team nobody wants to face. Do you really want to face Andrew Reid and Steve Spagnuolo? We would welcome the challenge to go to Baltimore, Buffalo, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you not see? And that's how they'll rally themselves.
What if they don't make the playoffs?
Exactly. If we start hearing Andy Reid go to the podium, I got to do better myself. It starts with me. That was every press conference his final year in Philadelphia. If history repeats itself like that, it starts. He's not going anywhere, Danger.
No, I know he's not. But
yeah.
The idea that his message is straining, that it's not resonating with the guys anymore. I mean, you see them, like I said, they just don't look engaged.
I'm going to just say this. Their skill position talent sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. Kelsey is old. He probably should have retired last year. Hollywood Brown, Juju. What are you trotting out there? Old Kareem Hunt and a guy's coming off a broken leg in Pacheco. Okay, that's the cast that you put around your Hall of Fame quarterback?
Right.
Stop.
Right.
No, they need to go trade for Tyreek Hill. They need to find something else in the backfield.
Yeah. We got to get to a round of shots next on the Fan.
Yeah, we've got some stories to get to here, including, look, we don't talk about the CFL, but holy cow, we don't ever have leagues that say, yeah, you know what, we're going to completely change the rules of our sport the way the CFL
They're overhauling it.
Holy mackerel. Yeah, we'll give you that for those that like Canadian football, just football in general. Big retirement today in college basketball, something I guarantee you missed also in baseball. And all right, we'll get the fashion report coming up from North Carolina.
All right, we'll get to that and more next. Plus, last call on the way. You can have the final word in the sports bar if you join us at 585-8664-FAN, 866-4326.
Sports Update.
Week 3 of the NFL season wrapping up tonight. It's the Lions and the Ravens in Baltimore. Detroit head coach Dan Campbell says it's Derrick Henry the guy to key on.
You know, we cannot let him get going. You get him ahead of steam and he finds a crease, he's dangerous. So we're going to ask a lot of those guys, and they know the task ahead. But listen, that's why those guys are here.
To the Bills, where they are now listed as 16.5-point favorites against the New Orleans Saints coming up on Sunday. Practice resuming for Buffalo coming up this Wednesday. Nick Bosa, the brother of Joey, Nick Bosa, out for the season. The 49er defensive lineman has a torn ACL. CeeDee Lamb will be out 3 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. The Cowboys, this coming Sunday night, will take on Green Bay. Sabres preseason begins tonight in Columbus. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Bills fans, Odyssey is your home for football. Stay up to date on everything Bills, no matter where you are, with the Odyssey app and the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour continues in the sports bar. Glad you're with us. Thanks for joining us, even if it's just for a few minutes on your ride home. We know how many options you have for your sports information and entertainment. You consider us a local source. Well, Gino and I don't take that for granted. Let's get to a round of shots.
Before we get to shots, I feel like we got to clear up this story, this weird part of Buffalo Bills history that Brad brought up. Okay, so it wasn't Bobby Hebert. It wasn't Billy Joe Tolliver. It was Billy Joe Hobert.
Right.
So and imagine there are in a world where you have two backup-ish quarterbacks in the NFL named Billy Joe. So Billy Joe Hobert plays for the Raiders, and Jim Kelly retires, and the Bills are, okay, what do we do now? They draft Todd Collins, who quite honestly wasn't good. They had Alex Van Pelt, who was just kind of a third. And then they bring in Billy Joe Hobert. So Todd Collins starts a game in Foxborough. The Bills are getting killed. Collins gets drilled into the turf. He injures his shoulder. And Billy Joe Hobert looks horrible in the game. Horrible. And we want our athletes to be accountable, right? So 33-6 ends up being the final score of this game. They lose to New England. And afterward, Billy Joe, hey, what happened out there? Well, I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but yeah, I didn't look at the playbook this week.
Different world we lived in.
Well, even that, okay, they get back to Buffalo, and the next day they cut him.
Yeah.
Even that, like, dude, you're saying to the world you're not a professional.
Tell us you don't want to be in Buffalo without telling us you don't want to be in Buffalo.
So the confusion then is who picks him up right away? The Saints. The Saints pick up Billy Joe Hobert.
Very good.
So wanted to clear up.
Billy Joe is a good one. I still think the best, like, hickey kind of like name in the NFL still goes to Jim Bob Cooter. Jim Bob Cooter, I don't remember if he was a quarterback. I don't think he was. But as far as like coordinators go, Jim Bob Cooter, best redneck name I think I've ever heard. That and John David Booty. But John David Booty, has he amounted to anything?
No, he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Booty we had too.
And then there's the guy in New England now who's catching passes, and J.J. Watt just can't help himself. He's like I would. He's making jokes about, you can't touch the booty if he's going in. You can't interfere with booty. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for clearing that up, Gino.
No problem. Big news from the CFL today.
We're giving a lot of CFL love. I mean, I kind of just brought up the CFL.
Did you know this story? Or
I did see this cross my feed.
Yeah, like CFL football. Like, can you name all the teams? Could you name?
I can try.
Okay.
Montreal, first of all, I don't know how many teams there are, so I'm just going to throw them out there. And I know some of these names aren't their names anymore, but I remember as a kid growing close to the Canadian border in Minnesota, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were always a team that somehow, some way found themselves on my TV. So you had the Blue Bombers. You had the Calgary Stampeders. You had the Edmonton. They were the Eskimos. I know that that's racially insensitive now. They're no longer the Eskimos.
What are they now? Keep going. I'll get back to that.
You got the Montreal Alouettes. You've got the Tiger Cats, the British Columbia, the BC Tiger Cats. Mm-hmm. You've got the Toronto Argonauts, of course. The Hamilton Tiger Cats.
The Tie Cats up on Hamilton, Ivor Stadium. I don't think they play there anymore. It's the Edmonton Elks.
The
Edmonton Elks.
Quite a scene there for Edmonton home games, from what I understand. I mean, like they would, I would say, probably be like, as far as like their tailgating, their atmosphere, probably the closest thing to Bills Mafia that you have in the Canadian Football League.
The Ottawa Red Blacks, I don't know when they came into existence. So
okay, that's the one I would have forgotten.
Yeah, they were the Ottawa Rough Riders. Okay, so that's how they cleared up the two teams named Rough Riders.
Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Right, that was a bit on South Park. The Rough Riders against the Rough Riders.
Okay.
Well, why are we bringing up the CFL? Well, it's not too often you get a league just saying, hey, rules. This is going to look actually like normal football. First of all, the goalposts are going to be moved to the back of the end zone. So no more running into the goalpost, no more any of that. Field now at 100 yards. If you ever notice, hey, they would have the 50-yard line, then 55, and they would have like this little C on it. No, 100 yards. You know what a rouge is? A rouge is one of those points you miss a kick or whatever. Well, we're not going to reward teams for like the other team failing. It's only going to be now when you don't turn a kick out, you get 1 point. And benches will be at the opposite side of the field. These changes will take place starting near 2027.
Do you think that because their game is just a little bit different, that it affects players in the CFL's ability to get taken seriously by the NFL?
Yep.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out what the motivation behind this is. I don't think that they're like, oh, we need this it's going to make our product better. It's like, is it going to make your product better? Because I don't know. The product is the product. It's fine.
So I will listen to the CFL on two things, and they put out a video. I think the goalpost is the biggest thing.
It's goofy.
It's goofy. This looks like 1960s NFL. Why would you put the goalpost at the beginning? And there are countless instances where they
still have the long end zones, the 20-yard end zones?
Yep, and that's going to be now normal too.
Okay, so they're making the 10.
Good. Yep, everything. But when you're a quarterback, that practically eliminates the middle of the field. You can't have a route there. And defenses know that, and that way they can. So it's going to encourage scoring.
And still 3 downs, or are they going to
still 3 downs?
Okay, so that's the one thing that's still glaring.
If you think we're provincial here in Rochester, let me introduce you to Canada. You think this is going to go okay in Canada? Like, wait a second, you're making our game look more like the NFL?
Well, if you're also provincial, wouldn't you like to see your favorite CFL star someday get a shot at playing in the NFL? I mean, Warren Moon is like the big one, right? Doug Flutie was massive before.
Yeah, well, Pinball Clemens never got why aren't there more? Well, part of it is they don't really pay all that well.
Correct.
And I hopefully it becomes a feeder system at some point. Another longtime college basketball coach has said, I've had enough. Well, camp's set to open in just a few weeks. Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl announcing his retirement. This after 11 seasons with the program. Pearl's son is going to be taking over. The 65-year-old Bruce Pearl guiding Auburn to their second Final Four appearance just last year.
Good for him, 65, so a good run, and he can enjoy his retirement. Now be a dad again and watch his son carry on the legacy.
I think that's kind of sneaky, like I'm going to retire just before everything starts.
I don't know, though. I mean, it sounds as if, if the school is fine with it, like he has a succession plan. It was always going to be his son. You can say what you want about why
Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett.
No,
I'm sorry. I just lost my train of thought. But I don't have a problem with him retiring. Nepotism is the word I was looking for, Gino. The nepotism is a real thing. And nepotism aside, if you've trained your son as he's been with this program with you, then the school's comfortable with it. I'm fine with it too. Enjoy retirement, Bruce.
Did anyone notice this last night? The answer is probably no, because it's football season. Something came to an end last night. After 36 years, that was the final Sunday Night Baseball game on ESPN.
Oh, man.
Although there is no official announcement, it's expected you're going to see this on NBC/Peacock.
You didn't hear a thing about this. They didn't make a big deal out of this at all.
No, it's... And you're talking about the network that loves to celebrate themselves more than anything else.
They all do. I mean, you're watching Sunday Night Football and 20 years of Sunday Night Football. I'm like, oh, geez, get out of here. Who cares? You don't need to celebrate 20 years of Sunday Night Football.
It's it's a bitter breakup, ESPN and baseball.
Yeah.
And ESPN can't leave baseball altogether. It was Seattle and it was Houston, and Seattle completing the sweep, the big dumper with another home run. And now Seattle, 1 week to go, they're 3 up on the Astros with 6 left to play.
Any other chases that we want to discuss?
No, let's talk more about football. In other football news here, CeeDee Lamb is going to be out 3 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain.
Just listen to the music.
Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs.
Weird thing, right? Like, you could look at Soto's stats, especially the second half of the season, and be like, wow, not bad. But that's when the team started to fall apart. What's your diagnosis here, Gino? And it's not over. We're not saying it's over. Anything can happen. There's still time.
Okay. Over the course of a season, you cannot burn a bullpen out the way the Mets were forced to burn their bullpen out. That's their starting pitching all year has just been atrocious. And the last Hail Mary has been like, okay, let's bring up some kids. And they've been okay. You know, some have been good, some outings not so good. But you can't be losing 2 or 3 to the Nationals.
No, that's not good.
I'm sorry.
Where's Senga now? Is he? I mean,
in
he's
Syracuse.
Yeah,
Or
trying to get trying to get it figured out.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah.
Like the rest of minor league baseball. So the Reds are now in the position.
They're
now,
tied. The same record, right?
Same record, but the Reds won the season series. That dude, if the Reds. I'm not going to allow you to book Catalan on the show Monday.
I will say maybe my Cubs will do you a favor and just lay down. Like they don't have anything really. What are they playing for?
Not banking on it. Like the Mets finish up in Miami, so at least you
All
know
right.
that.
See, anything can happen
Tonight, which this may get a Francesa, the Sabres begin their preseason.
What's a Francesa?
Oh, who cares?
Yeah. Buffalo at Columbus. The game is on MSG, but this is going to be the Blue Jackets feed for those who might want to tune in because this is the Sabres. We don't need to.
Oh, who cares?
Same 2 teams tomorrow night in Buffalo, and the game will be streamed for free on the Sabres website.
Oh, who cares?
Preseason hockey. Catch the fever.
Mm-hmm.
I love hockey. I'm a hockey guy. Love me some hockey. It's football season.
So there's this continuing conversation about moving the season up to mid-September.
Yeah.
No. How about we play less regular season games?
Not going to happen.
Never going to happen.
Not going to happen. But yes, I would co-sign that.
Yeah. Finally, giving a pep talk on the sideline to her boyfriend right before kickoff.
Is that what it was?
Wearing a mini skirt and knee-high boots. Jordan Hudson. Those boots white, by the way, and the mini skirt denim.
Thank you for the fashion report, Gino.
You're welcome. Paint your own visual in your own mind. That didn't work out, though. UCF beating North Carolina 34-9.
No, it's not UCF. It's Central.
I'm sorry, Central. Tar Heels back home this Saturday, noon kickoff. Clemson, after getting beat down by Syracuse of all teams, Clemson, a 5.5-point favorite.
So the trolling of the school by trying to call them Central backfired, right?
Is it trolling or
just oblivious? He's just oblivious.
Yeah.
Doesn't know you can't call them Central because they don't like that. UCF handling them. So Carolina's 2 wins, Charlotte and Richmond. Those football powerhouses.
What if that's it?
If it's a 2-win season. Oh,
no, this team is terrible.
Be so
they
great.
are not good.
It'd be so great. Hey, if you want us to take you seriously as a program, we're talking now about Syracuse. Like, wow, that was a pleasant surprise. Look what Syracuse did to Clemson. And, Clemson might be terrible this year. They might end up with one of the worst records in the ACC. But that could also go to North Carolina the way it's going. North Carolina coming to Syracuse on Halloween. Sign me up. That's going to be great. Tough sledding. Tough sledding for our guy, Bill Belichick, and Jordan Hudson. Yeah, fun afternoon here in the sports bar, Gino. And I know that you're set up with a great roster of guests for the rest of the week while I'm being a dad and being immature this weekend.
Yeah, we got Matt Perino, Michael F. Florio, NFL Network. And as you mentioned, Bobby Hebert later in the week, Damon Amendolara. I should also say that I'm just going to phrase it like this because it's not our announcement to make, Danger. There's going to be news in our town later in the week. So I've been sworn to secrecy on this. It's not bad. In fact, we'll all be smiling about this. So that will be revealed by whoever wants to reveal it, but I understand it's going to be at some point this week. I'm sorry for being so cryptic about that, but
well, that would check out because if I'm not here, that's when the biggest news usually breaks. That's kind of
that's the way it goes.
That's within character for me. I'm absent when the biggest news breaks. You need Steph Diggs to be traded. I'll be enjoying, Universal Studios that day.
Real quick, because I want to jump ahead. Are they doing a Diggs thank you, Steph Diggs? Welcome back.
No, do not.
They're not doing that
They
for Matt
will.
Collins.
They will.
No, I don't want them to.
I know, but they probably will. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Mac.
you.
Oh, stop doing that.
How about a statement? Don't do it.
Yes.
Don't do it.
If you missed Lance Lysowski of the Buffalo News, if you missed Mike McAllister, the publisher at Syracuse on 24/7, you can get those conversations wherever you get your shows. Search out the Sports Bar or check out our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, where we stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6. Our entire show posted for you right there. You can watch anytime you'd like. JR Sport Brief next. Have a great night. Talk to you tomorrow afternoon here on The Fan Rochester.